and welcome in everyone to Tuesday Night Valorant. We've got ECAC Esports Action Live, USF Gold up against St. John's. I am John, joined alongside Kevin Castle K Gaming Castillo. How are you doing today, my man?
I am doing great. Ready to see some Valorant action from my gold boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super exciting. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this is week 3 of ECAC, and I believe USF has gone 2-0 in the first 2 weeks. This team.
Impressively, they've been killing the game.
That is amazing to hear that they've been doing so well, that they've been playing so well. And they've got a tough opponent tonight, St. John's. I don't know if anyone at home might recognize the name, but Kevin and I certainly do. They actually competed in a tournament that USF competed in last winter, or not last winter, we're still, I guess, at the tail end of winter, but last December, the EGFC Power Series. It was an independent tournament that was put on where both USF and St. John's were actually eliminated on opposite sides of the bracket in semis. So two pretty solid teams that are running into each other in a completely separate space.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that we have to keep our eyes on because St. John's is one of those opponents that we get to counter every now and then, and they give us for a run for our money. So it's going to be interesting to see tonight what the Gold Boys decide to do tonight. I know some of those faces should still be familiar on St. John's end, but we got some fresh faces on the Gold team, so we'll see how the things go from there.
Yeah, couple roster switch-ups since tryouts this at the start of this semester. And also, just some player shifts due to other reasons. Everyone has their own time, their own projects that they have to focus on. And, of course, we've got a really stacked roster, of course, returning members, familiar faces to all y'all who've been following sort of USF Valorant since it started. Yuri Kirk, Bacon, two sort of rocks of this roster.
Yeah, definitely. They've been with us since pretty much day one, if I could think about it. Psycho, so pretty much he was with us probably after year one. Mm-hmm. So right now it's in the midst of, I feel what it feels like, I think it's been 3 years, if I'm not right. Like it's been
about 2 years. It's been about 2 years. We're coming up. Yeah, it's only been about 2 years actually. And because I think our program started in just April 2020. And it's crazy to think that we're actually only coming up on, that 2-year anniversary with how much work we've actually done over the last couple of years, or a year and a half, I guess, then when you think about it.
Yeah, and it's just been an amazing ride. I went from being the vice president to the president to being, part of the ECC committee, the esports committee. So just, it feels like time has gone by so quick that I've seen so many faces now that like it's hard for me to keep up time anymore.
No,
but they're the two founding. You could consider them the founding fathers of the Gold team. So they're definitely like very talented players that I'm still so very lucky to have within my organization.
Yeah, honestly, super lucky to have some super solid players who've been able to stick around for so long. And I mean, I completely agree with your sentiments on how this program has grown, how quickly it's grown. I started out here just as a player, and now I've been, casting and everything. And it's actually my start here that allowed me to cast that EGFC Power Series where I actually got to see St. John's in action. And they were a very, very strong team, very fun to watch, and I just really want to see how they do up against USF as we're about to see them face off. I think that our first map is Ascent. It's sort of one of those baseline, easy to track maps. It's familiar ever since it came out. It came out and everyone was like, "Ooh, I don't really like Ascent," and now it's sort of a staple.
Yeah, Ascent is really one of those maps. So a lot of people don't realize that it was created by one of the creators back in the CS:GO, I guess, development team, right? Like he was one of the people that made Dust 2. So apparently it's kind of a replica of Dust 2. It's very, traditional 3 lanes. If you compare them side by side, it's almost a hard. Besides, obviously, the graphics, it's really hard to tell the difference between Ascent and Dust 2. So it's almost a fan favorite for CS:GO retirees, as we're called.
Yeah, you can take that sort of catwalk area, very reminiscent of, the traditional sort of T-side to catwalk from Dust 2. You have some of that connector space right around the back of B-site. Or I guess that connects B-site to mid. That's very similar to, the space around traditional CT in Counter-Strike. And so it does feel very familiar. And sort of the fact that you brought up that it was, made by the same guy who made Dust 2, I was like, you know what? I see those similarities. I can see those sight lines coming together. And it's sort of developed into, I think, one of Valorant's most balanced maps where it doesn't feel like if you're attacking or defending, there is, an outset advantage where it really does all just come down to who controls mid, who controls some of these access points, and how it goes from there.
Yeah, and that's the thing you gotta love about Valorant, right? So traditionally speaking, if we're comparing apples to apples, in CS, you're not bounded by just smokes and grenades. Now, Valorant gives you the liberty of say, hey, how can we smoke? At the same time, two ways to get through mid, right? So we smoke off cat, we smoke off top mid. Now, how can we take over if we're deciding to rush this all the way to B? We go through market. There's a lot of things about Valorant that it feels really fresh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're gonna say, okay, Ascent is the same as Dust 2, how can we incorporate that to make it a really fresh experience? And that's what I love of what Riot has done so far with this, game. It just feels fresh, and being able to take the traditional sense of 3 lanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
3-lane maps, just like you said, traditional, it feels like you're going from terrace side, T side from CSGO, Dust 2. If you go from, T side trying to take a cat all the way to go to A, well, this kind of feels familiar, but with the whole aspect of abilities, ults, and all that stuff, it really makes it feel like a fresh, like a new identity to the 3-lane tradition.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what Valorant was meant to be. It's sort of meant to be a fresh face, a fresh feeling, and not to, become the new Counter-Strike, but to create a whole new space. And I think that's what we've completely seen with there being, a separate competitive scene, a separate culture between both games and everything. So I think that's really great to see, and it's great to see in esports development just as a whole, where teams are taking, development teams are taking ideas that worked for other games and redefining them, redeveloping them. And I mean, it's the same thing with like League and Dota. Dota was made off of League was made off of old Dota developers, and then Dota 2 was made in reaction to League success. And so it's sort of this continued cycle, and I think Valorant is just sort of that next stage, taking some of the elements from, a lot of people call it CSGO Overwatch, and it sort of takes those elements from both of them. But we got to remember, fresh game, and of course, fresh matchup, St. John's, USF, both, I believe, 2-0 in ECAC. And this is, I think, going to potentially be a breaking point, one of those really tough teams that you have to run into. And when you look at them on paper and you look at, some of their recent tournament results, they're neck and neck. If you both got knocked out in semis by 2 incredibly strong teams, I mean, St. John's got knocked out by Florida State, who was USF's biggest issue in the ECAC Power Series, group stage. Florida State was what prevented them from being a top seed. And on the other side, USF going down in the semifinals to another team who did incredibly well, who went on to, I think, lose to Florida State, goes to show just how these two teams share one thing in common. And it's trouble against Florida State, but it's also bringing a lot of talent, a lot of heat, and the fact that it took a team like Florida State to take them down.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Our arch rivals from all over Florida, right? FSU, UCF, FIU, all these guys have been such titans for us. But that's what I love about it, right? We can never say we have a free ride. And that's what I really love about this collegiate scene right now, that there's no reason for us to say our opponents are any weaker than us, any better than us. If anything, it just feels like we're constantly fighting the best of the best. And that's what I love about it. And that's what the gold team really thrives on. Just being able to just go up against the best, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what race, gender. It doesn't matter. We're going up against the best of the best. There's no excuse for you to be going out every night, every day, wherever it may be a weekend, to go out there and compete.
Yeah, exactly. They want to come. They want to bring their A game, go up against these really top teams. And I think we're going to be getting into game very, very shortly, as I think players are just loading in, making sure everything is perfect for them. And we'll make sure everything's perfect for you on our side as we're getting into game. But sort of one thing I wanted to ask you, that some news that came out recently was how Riot announced that they're actually going to be having formal collegiate support, similar to how League does, with there being CLOL, and it looks like they're trying to apply that to Valorant. And I just wanted to sort of get your thoughts, not just as a player, but also as, current president of the Valorant club here at USF.
I mean, it's great news. Honestly, it's something that we've needed for a long time. I don't mind these third-party competitions. I don't mind these third-party, organizations. But to have the backing of Riot, right? I mean, Riot has made a name for themselves, very well from League of Legends. And it's amazing to know that the developers care enough about their community to extend it even further by making it a collegiate support.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, what worries me, about the esports scene is that, there's no real distinction between you being able to put your resume out and saying, hey, look, I just played for the best university. is there an organization that's willing to pick up a semi-pro, an amateur, right? There's always that distinct, bridge, if
Yeah.
you will. And to see Riot actually giving us that opportunity, I feel like my players and for incoming freshmen are just going to be so excited wanting to play this more now.
Yeah, absolutely. It sort of makes that bridge between, I think, collegiate, that's often considered tier 2, and tier 1. As I can hear, it looks like we're about to get into game. And indeed, we are. We're just getting into agent select, as we have got USF on the defender side and St. John's on the attacker side. We're gonna double check once we get into game on the overlay, just to make sure, because sometimes it does flip on us. So everyone at home, don't worry about that. But Ascent, we talked about how it was pretty standard, and it looks like USF, at the very least, who've already locked in, have a pretty standard setup. Controller, duelist, double initiator, plus a chamber.
Yeah, and I really like this setup, and that's what a lot of people have forget, that Chamber is so viable right now. Like, he's been able to take up that space between KJ and Cypher, right? A lot of people are always on the fence, right? Like, oh, Cypher's better, or KJ's better here. But with Chamber, his traps alone just make it so viable for you to be able to just go in and say, okay, look, I got the trap set up, but I also have an arsenal to back myself up and you if I'm far away. So I really like that they're using Chamber here, and I love the fact that Viper's become a new meta as well. New in the recent months, at least. And being able to see Viper's walls come up or her smokes, even though it's just one smoke compared to Brim, compared to Astra, Viper is still very viable here, and it's really good to see that she's coming back as a meta controller.
Yeah, she's sort of, I've seen, take on this semi-sentinel role where you are just, effectively locking a site down, anchoring it, doing all of that. And it does look like our overlay is all properly lined up, so thank you to our production team for getting that all set up, of course. And, one thing I did want to ask you, I think the biggest difference that's sort of jumping out to me between these two teams is the choice between 2 initiator and 2 duelists. Scarlet Tempest going the more aggressive route, going with the Jet and the Reyna. USF going with just, the Jet and then opting for Skye Sova combo, which I feel is a little stronger right now, if I'm being honest, especially with Chamber being able to fill that, pseudo-duelist role with the teleports.
Yeah, so that's the greatest thing right now. Riot has done this really fathomable thing of just breaking the barrier of like what is traditional and what makes sense. As we see in VCT, we see a lot of different combinations now, and it's really fun to see that we're getting these nice mix of like Jet, Sova. Instead of opting for 2 duelists, now we're getting just 1 and more potential counterplays.
Yeah, exactly. And Chamber certainly filling in that entry role, taking down that first kill. That it was S-Flow and Kilroy getting the first kill for USF. Chamber striking first blood here on Ascent, as that's sort of what Chamber really feels like on round 1. You have that sort of sheriff that you can buy for a little cheaper, and it works out. Seiko, though, taking down S-Flow. That's a good start for holding this USF site. But Void, with the information, and Smalls taking down Kilroy is going to make life difficult. Seiko stuck behind the Molly, and it's a little tight, but has vision on both, gets 1, looks for 2, can't find it. Void a little too quick on the trigger, and in the background, Smalls took down Bacon, but Jump Killer with the counter, and now it's a 1v1 between the Jet and the Viper. So Void in a tough position, I think, with just so low health, but Jump Killer, no information to be had. And, this is the first round. It can define quite a bit. Void seeing that one, gonna back up a little bit as this is getting tighter, clock ticking down. This Jump Killer just needs to land 1 shot on the Void. Void needs a couple, and Jump Killer finds him just in time. Very, very tight round 1 from both of these teams.
Yeah, Jump Killer's our newest youngster on the team. He definitely knows that he needs to be a little bit quicker on that route, just because Bomb is not on your side, like in the sense of you gotta play that a little bit just quicker, just in case, because you never know when you think you have won the round, you kill the enemy, and then all of a sudden Bomb goes off, right? But he definitely played that very well, and I'm glad to see. Even though I wish we would have kept a little bit more bodies here, so economy is part of the game. I wish they would have stayed a little long, but hey, USF gets the point, and that's just a great start.
Yeah, it is a great start, and I believe we are seeing the pretty standard force up, look for that bonus round opportunity, as now St. John's Scarlet Tempest They're looking for just, standard A attack. Already committed the Viper wall, so we're going to have to see how this goes, where it does look like the only investment made is, a sheriff or two, a couple bullets in that chamber pistol. But, do you think Scarlet Tempest are just going to wait for the smoke to dissipate and then charge forward?
If I was them, yeah, for sure, I would wait. At this point, you don't have the guns to be able to do a very big damage. You all have to play together. You hope that doesn't happen to you, but unfortunately it does.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Bacon right there with some nice discipline on the Whirlpool. Finds 2, finds 3, and Smalls will eventually bring him down. But a 1 for 3, you'll take that any day of the week, as well as spike control for USF, as now St. John's put up on the back foot. They're in a tough spot here, trying to approach. And what's trouble is they're in this awkward spot where if you save, you actually don't have enough to full buy next round.
Yeah, and this is what you want as, USF. Yeah, maybe one body did go down, but you don't want to minimize the risk of losing your guns, right? You made the buy, you got the hold. It's a man advantage. Now we got one versus 4. This is exactly what you want as USF. You want to make sure you got your money and your guns at the end of the round.
Yeah, and USF, no need to try and follow this up, as S-Flow really does want to go down, as we mentioned, for that money, and Kilroy will clean it up. Sort of a little piece of trivia as USF goes up 2-0 also. The St. John's roster, a little different from the last one I saw, with Void and S-Flow sort of being the only real veterans coming back from that team that went pretty deep in the EGFC Power Series. So both teams working with some new players.
Yeah, and, it's like we talked about, right? It's almost a 2-year anniversary for us. So, every now and then you're going to get new players because graduating seniors, stuff like that always happens. So it's cool to see that, they're still holding their ground even with the fresh new faces just like us.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams in a very similar setting, but very strong rosters. Kilroy not able to teleport out, not quite quick enough, and couldn't find the headshot. So Kenny gonna do a nice job of opening up some space in mid. And, this is, I think, what we tend to talk about is mid control is king when it comes to Ascent.
Yeah, definitely here. And I like this approach that St. John's is doing. They want to take the advantage of mid. Nobody's holding mid. Gold should know better to leave that open. So St. John's going to take advantage. Let's see what they're going to do here.
Yeah, and Jump Killer a little slow on that duel. So Kenny going to take advantage. And now the leer out towards, I believe that is Garden area, as now Bacon just with a ghost trying to hold down the fort. Does take a couple shots, but can't find it. S-Flow going to take his head clean off, as now it's just up to Kirk and Seiko, I believe. And, if you wanted 2 people to clutch up, I'd say these are your 2, but with just a couple Spectres, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to go down right now, as you see. It's not good for USF. A little weird, but I could understand the confidence of wanting to go in and just saying, okay, you know what, let's just take what we still got, do another bonus so we have, a good amount of money. Unfortunately, it doesn't, really capitalize on that idea, but hey, at least they'll still have a gun round here. At least they'll still be able to buy up and still be able to get. I see some of them not getting all their util, and that's the sacrifice you make when you don't buy up already on the 3rd.
Yeah, and that's the trouble, when you do go for that force on 2, you don't leave yourself really with the money in the bank to necessarily go for a full buy. You're trying to bonus up. And also at other times, if it's the other way around where you do reinvest for that 3rd round and can't quite do it, as I believe that is Kilroy going very low on the chamber, taking an aggressive angle with that operator. Trident not going to spot anything. So this does, leave a little room for USF, as Scarlet Tempest are still clearing out these different corners.
Yeah, and at this point you gotta play a little slow because USF has the advantage when it comes to being able to play in higher spaces, being able to just get you when you make your mistakes. So they need to play slow here. They need to be a little bit more methodical with their way of pushing here. And I do like this mid push. Again, we keep saying that mid is king, and as long as USF keeps giving that up, they're just gonna have to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I mean the trouble is, I think, for USF, as Kilroy gets one through the smoke. Don't even know they got that timing. And Seiko lurking, but Kenny spots it out. And Kirk now gonna throw out the entire menagerie, but doesn't do much, as now Small is gonna get the plant down, but still a 2v3. The problem is Kenny's already low, but there is the Viper's Pit committed on site.
And you gotta like what Void's doing here. As Viper, you definitely always want to poke out. You want to hide in your ult. Being the fact that you take away the most important thing you could ever have is visualization. As Viper, you need to take advantage, move around, and I like that Jet right here is waiting for someone to jump out because you know they're forced to do this.
You know they're forced to. Kilroy did find Void though, and that's going to bring down the Viper's pit. And I was going to say it's all up to Smalls, but not quite enough when you're running down the entire USF team as Jump Killer slowed down the defuse. I think that was just a call to find the op, as they did have plenty of time after getting that first tick. And USF with, you know, equal guns across the board, able to pick off Scarlet Tempest.
Yeah, and you gotta love what USF did there. They played it very smooth and calm. A lot of people would panic in that situation. Even pros even do it. When you don't have vision of the bomb, you don't have vision of any of your enemies, you tend to start being a little panicked. Might do a little misplay here and there, but Gold Team said, no, we're not. We're pros. We're pros. Might as well get picked up. You know what I'm saying? They took it in. They went in and they just played so well, clearing corners, and they were able to get the defuse. And that's what things we definitely want to see from them tonight.
It most certainly is now Boy again stepping forward. And that's one of the advantages, I think, of Viper is being able to cut off some of these mid-access points, making it so that, you know, Kilroy is responsible for all angles and not just one or two. As now Jump Killer going for a couple pre-taps, and Small's going to avoid that timing. So, again, we're just sort of in that mid-round holding pattern. Both of these teams have sort of gotten used to this default, if you will.
Yeah, and we still got to give it to St. John. They're still on their toes. They're still questioning them on how they should be playing right now. And as you can see, they're really trying to push this Cat A corner here. And this is really good, taking advantage of the jet smoke here.
It certainly is. As Smalls finds the opening pick, and that's going to be very, very solid. As now Kenny gets some vision. Kilroy misses the shot, and this is going to be tough to hold on to. Nice smoke down out of Kenny. Now Kilroy forced to pull out the pistol. Might not be enough. Doesn't have the space or team to push in off that flash, but now with a little info, might be able to do something. Finds the shot, cool and controlled, but tried with the refrag, and now Yarded Kirk runs out of bullets in the Phantom. This is all really awkward for USF, as now Trident finds the lineup. It's going to deal some chip damage onto Kirk. Really not all too much. Looks like Seiko goes down. Smalls takes down Kirk, and St. John's strike back as they find their first gun round. Or really their first full gun round. I guess the third round was more of a bonus for USF.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate for USF. It almost felt like they played too cautiously there, but understandable. A-side is very hard to retake just because of the limited vision you get off of Heaven, and also the limited vision off a tree. And you gotta be a little bit more aggressive there, especially the fact that if you know one of your players has an op, you need to go there and be able to just refrag off of them if they can't get the first shot.
Yeah, and I mean they did find the first shot, but there was a good response from I believe it was Trident on St. John's. Now Jump Killer trying to use those knives, not gonna find the shots, and is just firing them sort of blindly. Gonna need a one tap to get the refresh. But you can hear the chamber shots from both teams, as both chambers did use their ultimate. Does have that sort of free op, but S-Flow hasn't found any value yet. Neither is Kilroy. Both already used a couple rounds, so means that these ultimates might not be getting the value that they necessarily wanted.
Yeah, and honestly, you as a chamber, and I like to use chamber a lot, you don't want to be using it unless you need to, right? Like, you shouldn't just pop it out just because the other team does it. You know, if you already have an opera on your side, if you already have someone with a weapon that could take down the op, you should always save that for the save rounds. Ooh. And see, St. John takes advantage of that.
That they do, taking down Jump Killer, who had, I think, just one of the knives left, but S-Flow quite low here. Kenny just gonna get sort of jiggle peeked by Kilroy. Looks for the second, can't quite find it.
30 seconds
and
left.
Now 30 seconds on the clock. Bacon here trying to hold, finds one with the Sheriff, can't find another. Small's gonna be able to find that kill, and S-Flow a little greedy for the Sheriff as Kilroy is gonna find that kill.
Spike
and now, without that chamber ultimate, no more rounds available in that op, so forced to just pull out the pistol. And we will see what he can do going into the full guns of St. John's. Finds one head. Small's too quick on the trigger. And now it's just up to Kirk and Seiko once again. Should be able to pick up a gun or two off the ground. So there is a little space to work with. There's a Phantom for one. Smalls, though, so strong on this Rain of Void, very, very low. Looks like Seiko might try and get a shock dart down, but doesn't realize there's no one behind Jen anymore. They're both behind around Hell. Is Void very low? Seiko does find it, but now it's just a matter of the clock ticking down. Race against time, and Scarlet Tempest are gonna win that race. Smalls and Seiko gonna go down with the ship, as the dismiss doesn't last for quite long enough to survive that spike explosion.
Yeah, unfortunate for USF. I mean, but it was still a great round for them. You know, regardless of the fact that, you know, they didn't win it, they still managed to take off guns off of them. They still managed to get all the players to pretty much fall and die to the bomb. You still, as USF, you still want to be cautious. You still want to be playing a little bit more aggressive on those retakes, because St. John's is now taking advantage of the fact that they give them a lot of space to retake, and that's something you don't want when you're trying to make sure you get the win here.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Scarlet Tempest have evened things up. I mean, it's still early into the match. Only, you know, about a quarter of the way through. 3-3 tied up, as this does show, you know, sort of what we expected. Two really strong teams running into each other as S-Flow tries to entry, and it doesn't work out. Yurted, Kirk, and Seiko just killing them. Although Kenny does take down Kilroy, so that Op is finding a little bit of value for St. John's. But when you've already lost 3 members, it's tough. And then Trident getting stunned. The Hunter's Fury not going to find him on the first bullet. And that means it's just going to completely go wide. But I mean, after that really brutal entry, how does Scarlet Tempest try to step back into this round?
Unfortunately, if you're Scarlet, I would just save. You have an op, you still have a gun, you can still take it for next round. He's trying to get a kill here, and unfortunately, gets taken out by Jump Killer, and that's something you definitely don't want.
Yeah, it gets taken down, and that's really sort of the worst case scenario. You lose your op, you lose a player. Now Trident, they know where he is, they know where the spike is, and it's just going to be a matter of collapsing. As Jump Killer trying to play time, does get dinked down by the Phantom.
Left.
I believe it was a wallbang, and actually might read the jump away, and there's the shock dart kill. A little spicy on that one, as at the very least Trident might be able to pick up this op if he can survive for the next, you know, 20-25 seconds. Might just be trying to weave around market and get a plant down here, and actually there's no one on site. Wall goes down. I think he's got enough time. You just pull out the knife, and yeah, there it is. There's the plant coming down. Will complete, but Seiko's and Yurted Kirk coming around the corner, so this is going to be a very tough hold to pull off, but still, finding the plant in that situation, very, very impressive. Kirk going for the wall bang. Not quite finding the kill. Does turn away, but stuck in the Astra Pool. That's not going to work out very well, and Kirk finds another round for USF.
Yeah, definitely that was a mistake that USF should not have made. With the man advantage, you always... I mean, 3 versus 1. You should at least have one-on-one on each side. You know, one could be the lurker. Definitely, that's not something you want. You don't want to give them that money. Very good still retake from USF, but unfortunately, they need to clean up the act a little bit and make sure that that doesn't happen again if they can prevent it.
Yeah, absolutely. As now it does look like St. John's, they are going to be taking timeout. I believe that was activated by their coach. So we've got about a minute. And, you know, do you think this is St. John's just trying to sort of reset, not let things get out of hand, or maybe they just have to reevaluate some of the ways they're approaching?
I think St. John right now is just trying to talk amongst themselves, see what they could have done better there. The fact that Sova was able to make that plan shows that there is a crack in USF's game, and they're just not taking advantage of it. So if I was the coach for St. John's right now, I'd be talking to my players, telling them, like, hey, you know, you guys were able to find a way in. You just need to continue abusing it. The thing about FPS games, just like Valorant, is you got to take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses at all costs. You got to take advantage of it very early. That way, rounds like this could be won. Unfortunately, Sova did not have the numbers, and they were up against our seniors here that know how to retake, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this was a ranked game, it probably would have happened. A lot of things could have happened. But this is a team that plays, constantly, almost every day. So, those little tricks are not going to work here. So, as a coach for St. John, I would say, hey, look, reset, get those frags in. Make sure that if you are going to go out there and get those fights, like they just lost an op and gave it to Kilroy right now. Now they got to figure out how they're going to go up against it.
Yeah, and I mean, Kilroy's always sort of been that mid holder, and it does feel like USF does give a lot of space towards that mid because it's very hard to hold. But now it looks like there's going to be a fast approach coming out from the Scarlet Tempest, and a lot of CC getting used down on Kenny, not really liking their screen. It's all gray. Kilroy going to be forced to cut down that market door, as does look like most of Scarlet Tempest are nearing sight but haven't quite pushed through, as Kirk's here and it's allowing the rotates to come in. Bacon and Kirk finding kills across the board. Seiko throwing a couple shots in. Trident very, very low, but Small's finding an opening. This could be big. Empress is available should they choose to use it. They do not. Trident will find another kill, and now it's a 2v3. Very winnable, but not with Kirk holding this fort down like it's Fort Knox, as another quick set of kills and sort of sending a message, don't come to my B site.
Hey, yeah, definitely with Kirk. If he's holding that, you know he's not going to give that up so easily. It was a very good cleanup off of USF. You got to love the fact that they went in and made sure that they could not continue pushing any further than those stairs.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, it really did feel like the Seekers immediately coming out from Yuri Kirk was the difference maker. It meant all the entries were just sort of immediately stopped. You know, Jet can't fire away at those little cabbages coming forward. It makes life pretty difficult. Now, once again, Scarlet Tempest forced to save, as this momentum is really tough to work, as Kilroy forced to teleport out. And I mean, now here comes the quick hit. Stinger, and ooh, immediately head chopped off, and Yuri Kirk continuing that streak, but Kenny finding the sort of the Valorant version of a 1D, and S-Flow getting a 1-tap as well onto Seiko, and a couple kills coming in makes this possible, but Kenny and S-Flow very, very low. And USF still got a couple pretty healthy HP bars.
Yeah, and you, as a chamber, that definitely is such a good viable queue. I mean, being able to still hold a ult that has a sniper that barely has any recoil and a deagle. And you can see from here that they're just gonna come and still take it away from them, because it doesn't matter what you have. We're USF, we're gonna come back and get our bomb. But it's still almost a little too close for comfort for coming from St. John.
Yeah, and you gotta remember, that was a save, and almost all of the kills that round were handled exclusively by Yuri Kirk, you know, and if maybe he loses that first duel, this is a different story. This is a different round we're looking at. So biggest weakness I'm starting to see from USF is they have a little trouble holding down mid, and also when you have a singular anchor, if that anchor falls, so does the rest of site.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with you. You said it since the beginning. I mean, mid is king. I've said it. I think I just said it like 2-3 rounds already, that they keep leaving mid open. You cannot leave mid open on Ascent. They're just gonna take advantage of it every time. It's so easy to push onto the site when you have mid.
Yeah, and the trouble is, you know, Kilroy is trying to hold it, but Scarlet Tempest are doing such a good job at just throwing their util down, cutting off these sight lines, but not cutting them close enough. As Kilroy finds a little hole in the smoke, takes down Kenny.
Yeah, and you gotta love this, that Kilroy now is, you know, definitely trying to hold it the best he can. Getting that first pick is so crucial, because that gets the other team scared. As long as you take out one of their duelists, one of their top players, with that should be more than enough for your team to come say, hey, look, we got a guy, one mid. There's got to be a couple more for sure. Every play, hold your sights. Let's play this smart. And that's what's USF doing, and that's what we love to see. We got Jump Killer waiting to get the pick right here, and he doesn't see it, but he'll definitely get this kill.
Oh, missed dash from Jump Killer. And I thought he saw the gun barrel from S-Flow, but maybe the timing just wasn't quite right.
I guess not. I guess I jinxed it for it, because I really thought he was going to get that kill so easy for him. Yeah. Let's see if he gets this next one, though.
Felt like it. S-Flow now taking the high ground, and I don't think that he's ready. But no one goes down quite yet, so it does look like there is some safety for Jump Killer as of now. But it's just turning out to be pretty interesting A push. Jump Killer finds one through the smoke, but Smalls on the flank finds Seiko. And Trident on the entry, making life difficult, but Bacon finding the trade as well, and now just 13 seconds on the clock. Smalls probably just want to try and hold this one, but Kirk once again striking from market. And USF, they've taken a commanding lead. You know, you got to think it was 3-3. Now it's 7-3. They've already secured themselves a half advantage.
Yeah, and what I love about these guys, man, I listen to their comms. I always read their messages to each other every day. And what I love about it is just right now they're so confident, and I love the fact that they're able to clean up any situation. Right? Yeah, they had 3. Yeah, there was 3 rounds that they could not clean it up, but that happens to everybody, right? No one ever is that perfect. But for USF, they just know when to take command, they know when to take charge, and they know when to hold it down. And that's what I really like to see. And I really want to see more Jump Killer taking advantage of that situation. I really thought he was going to get that big, but I still like the fact that USF played smart and was able to hold their sights.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it looks like, once again, Scarlet Tempest are trying to come back onto the site. And now Seiko's the one sort of holding that anchor space, and Kirk is out by Market, as now it's going to be trouble on how to push in. Seekers once again shutting down this push, and a shock dart kill to start things off from Seiko, and then the Odin, oh my, finding 3-4! And I mean, that's just a Sova Odin if I've ever seen it. Can't find the ace, but still holding down the fort.
I'm making a note of that right now. That's just total BM. I'm gonna discipline my players. I'm so sorry you have to see that. No, I'm kidding. I really like that Odin play. Odin's so annoying in this game. It's so ridiculous. But as a Sova, it's really common. Really common to see just them being able to get that little peek of with their, with their arrow, being able to see B main. If you see more than 2, the spray's coming, right? Like, it's just no doubt about it. Use the Odin, such a viable weapon. Hats off to Seiko for that one.
Yeah, hats off. Nice heads up play as Scarlet Tempest. They've got 4 ultimates. I'd expect them to use it because this is the only round they have the space to. So there's the Hunter's Fury as well. Void finding the opening kill onto Kirk, who got a little too aggressive. And this could start opening things up for Scarlet Tempest going into the next half. They want to stay away from that 9-3 curse and are certainly on their way to do it.
Yeah, lately the 9-3 curse has been very valuable for a lot of opponents. So let's hope that doesn't happen tonight.
We will see as Jump Killer goes down to Kenny. And now things are really opening up. Scarlet Tempest complete control of this ace site. And, ooh, Smalls from, I believe that was tree area. Actually, no, just popping the Empress straight on sight. And now no vision for Seiko. Gonna make this very tough. Shock Dart doesn't find anyone, but it seems the recon did. And while that was useful, didn't get enough to actually find a kill. It's gonna force the gun swap, and Void just getting one tick of that molly from the Viper's Pit in this gas cloud. Scarlet Tempest, the most convincing round I think we've seen this game, just flat out a clean 5-0 and a gun round, but did take 4 ultimates to do it.
I'm just convinced they didn't want to make it 9-3. They just let them out that one. But honestly, for St. John, that was really impressive. I really like that ult and tree. Was able to keep Jump Killer from able to be able to push that. Honestly, that was really smart of them. I really like that play. You just got to give it to St. John. They were able to capitalize on that first pick off of Yurden Kirk, which unfortunately gave them that advantage. And that's what I keep coming back to. You don't want to give them that confidence, especially before the next round. They're going to ride off of this, and we're going to see if St. John is able to capitalize even further with that.
Yeah, we'll see if they can capitalize. They've got a little momentum, and if they pick up this pistol round, it'll certainly make life a lot easier. Bacon throwing out a little bit of util to start things off. Trailblazer used by, I believe that was just sort of B main area from Kirk, trying to find a little vision. Jump Killer getting lightly tagged up by the shock dart, but nothing too crazy, as does look like both teams just sort of taking a default defensive setup with the Viper anchor on ace site. And Void might run into the wrong end of a ghost as Seiko finds the one shot, and that's going to be big. No one else currently on site. It's just the rotates coming through. S-Flow did manage to spot one with a trap, and that's going to be pretty big. Smoke's covering USF's cross to site, though. Jump Killer's still low, so very winnable for Scarlet Tempest as they try to retake this site.
Yeah, and I definitely like the utility usage here by, ST. Right now, well, before that, they were really able to predict everything that was happening. And Chamber right now just being a monster.
So is Kirk now. It's just up to Smalls and Kilroy. This is going to be tough, and Small sort of the standout player for St. John's, but Kilroy a little too clean with that chamber pistol. And one point that I've been wanting to sort of note for everyone watching at home is that, a lot of times when you think of collegiate gameplay, you think the players are good, maybe Diamond. No, these are both immortal average rosters with Radiant players on them. And the level of play that has just developed in collegiate to me is so astonishing.
Yeah, you know what? And it's something that we keep telling our players. Look, doesn't matter what rank you are right now. It doesn't matter what rank you are tomorrow. Sometimes rank really doesn't matter, because sometimes I see these players and I swear they're radiant and they're just high diamonds are immortals. And honestly, it's really fun to see some of this action happening.
Kenny can't be doing that. Looks like the entire team on the B rush gets shut down to the bite of the bulldog.
Yes.
Oof.
Yes, you definitely love to see that. And that's what I'm talking about. I think St. John got a little too cocky there, because the fact that if they think that that was going to work at all, it's a little disrespectful for USF. But I'm glad they showed them like, hey, my coach says no, so we're not going to let that happen.
Yeah, that's actually
I'm really glad to see that, USF took advantage of that. And that's another point for them. They're 3 away. And as St. John, you really got to see that the pressure is on.
Yeah, the pressure's on. This is when they've got to make it happen. Do have guns in their hands, and they did shut down USF off of the last bonus round they got. But I am going to say this one's a little stronger. A couple Bulldogs in the mix, bringing in some of that rifle firepower. And Kirk, with so many kills early on, does already have access to the Seekers. And once this Poison Cloud goes down, that might be the difference, as USF is the first one with an ulti on board. And here they come. The Seekers are on their way, and Jump Killer's leading the charge, already flashed out. So not going to work out too well. Void already finding 2. And USF's push shut down as quickly as it began, but Kirk looking to strike back. Smalls finding a kill. But again, USF don't have the gunpowder, don't have the manpower anymore, as now Bacon sort of locked in a corner over on Wine, and he's going to run to the crosshair of Smalls very soon, and Void actually going to be the one to pick that off, as Seiko, just a Bulldog and a dream.
Yeah, unfortunately for USF, that push didn't work out. I mean, that's typically what you want. You want your duelist to go in and get the info and at least a kill, or possibly set up a trade. But unfortunately, ST was ready for that.
Yeah, completely ready. Kenny finds that last kill with just 11 health and a very healthy anti-bonus, I guess, out of Scarlet Tempest, as they need to start building some momentum if they want to come back into this game. As we mentioned, USF only 3 rounds away, and if you go back and forth, or if USF builds any shred of momentum, game could be over just like that.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if St. John is now, Scarlet Tempest, sorry, is starting to feel the momentum for them. If they're starting to feel like maybe they're realizing that they could still somehow bring this back.
Yeah, and I certainly believe they can. And also, just a little clarification at home, Scarlet Tempest is just the name of sort of the esports program at St. John's, so either one is perfectly fine. I'd driven home if that was ever a point of confusion. Yes, Scarlet Tempest and St. John's, exact same team. It would be like if we were the Rockies versus the Bulls, as far as our esports program. But it's all one big happy family. As a little info drop down, Jump Killer spotted out, but doesn't mean much, as USF still in this sort of default, taking some of mid control. And this is an interesting setup. Scarlet Tempest are just sort of giving up Catwalk and saying we'll just hold it from tree, and putting a few more resources over in the back market area.
Yeah, and you gotta love the slow play from them. They're taking their time. They're trying to get as much info as they can, and they're so pushed up right now. St. John, they gotta be ready for this, because this looks like it's gonna be a monumental push here right now from them, from USF.
It's gonna be tough. Kilroy did get spotted out, but there's the flash from Kirk, and does find the kill, but very low. That's the one thing about, actually not as low as I expected, as I thought, as I thought more shots ran down. As Kenny does find Jump Killer. A little trade of the Jets, as Kirk and Bacon going to set up next to each other in this hell area, as now it's the retake for Scarlet Tempest. But this A side, as we've seen, can be very troubling, especially when you're man down, as recon darts drop, but Smalls finds that opening pick, and that's going to be big. Kenny on the flank as well, opening up a lot of space, but Bacon from beneath does a lot. Kenny again, and Bacon with a 3K this round, and Kirk just being patient, but Bacon brings it on home with the 4K.
Bacon just sizzling right now on the pan. He was ready for that. I like that cross that him and Yerde Kirk was doing. That's perfect, because at the end of the day, he's going to have to clear that smoke. But first, he's going to try to clear the corner that's obviously not smoked. So regardless of the situation, that was pretty much a win-win for USF right there. That battle was very, how do I say? It was at the end of the day, get your kills or you don't, and that's what I really liked about that aspect for USF right there. You know, they did lose a couple bodies here and there, but at the end, the fact that they were still able to hold it was great.
And that's what matters most, is finding the rounds. As Trident was slowed up for a second, as it looks like one of the birds got caught in the rafters. As now a little bit of util drop. This Viper wall will be a little troubling, but Scarlet Tempest on the backside, they're already so pushed up. They know there's nothing coming out of A. So I don't know if USF is ready for this flank to be coming through. Kirk is watching out for it. They might have heard Void's footsteps, but good preemptive play. Is trying to molly that out, but doesn't quite make it work. And the smoke as well. Smalls finds one. Bacon trying to find another, as Kirk and Bacon each get a couple of kills. S-Flow, though, immediately responding as it's 3 versus 3 still. Astro Wall available for USF, as now they're completing the push onto B site. It's Kenny and Trident. Trident finds one, but turned around. And then Kenny finds Seiko, but very, very low. Bacon's in a 2v1, but just one shot will take down Kenny, so this is going to be tough and doesn't even matter. S-Flow pulls out the rifle and knocks down Bacon. Looks like he was going hog hunting and did find a kill.
And definitely, I really like that initial hold that USF had. They really predicted where they were going to be. Kirk could have had those two. Unfortunately, he could not land both shots. But unfortunately for USF as well, even with the trades, they still couldn't hold that site. Chamber was already in his ult, which we already know that's super dangerous to even be in any corner, because if Chamber catches you, you're in his sights, it's over.
Exactly, as now USF forced to save, as we see that recon dart thrown up towards Smalls and does spot him out. Jump killer with a dangerous shoulder peek, but does get the information, although S-Flow did take down the Chamber counterpart. And ooh, Dancing with Death is Kill Jumper, as Kenny is going to find Kirk. And now they have the information. Spike is B site, but with the member still over, there's still some options for USF. Seiko not finding the shots. And now Bacon trying to do some trickery, but won't work out. And it's just Jump Killer. Does have the knives, but doubt those will get used. No reason to waste an ultimate, as now it's just a long-range battle, as S-Flow takes a little time to find the shots, but does do it just fine. And Scarlet Tempest with a nice round.
Yeah, I mean, for Flow, if you get those, you get those, right? We take those, as we say. Yeah, unfortunately for USF, they were just really confident in that push right there. Some of those knockdowns were really crucial. And you got to remember, when you take out certain agents, it really, really makes it harder to be able to retake those sites, just because, you know, if you don't have those flashes, you don't have the info game with you, it's a lot harder to get it. But St. John got it done. You want to play? Let's play.
Yeah, and see that recon dart immediately get shut down by Jump Killer, as it does look like USF did commit the Chamber ulti of their own, but the immediate Viper's Pit response from Scarlet Tempest sort of cutting off this A site, making it really impossible to push through. And one point I sort of want to bring up that you just mentioned after Bacon takes down S-Flow is how, you know, every single agent brings a unique set of abilities, unique part of the team composition. And when you take out one part of it, that means that, you know, flashes aren't available, info gain isn't available, smokes aren't available. And you have to restructure how you can try and approach sites and retakes without that, without those abilities.
Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about earlier, that's what's so fresh about this game, right? You know, in traditional games like CS, you don't really have an info game. You just really have, you know, the peekers advantage. You take a little, you know, make sure that all the corners are, you know, clear and all that. But with Valorant, you don't have to go through all that. And being able to take out the eyes really makes a difference in this game.
It certainly does. It just completely changes how it's played. Now Kenny jumps forward past the wall, and Bacon immediately shuts it down. Smalls gets rid of the cabbage that's chasing him. And Void now in an awkward spot does find Bacon. So one kill brought over, but Smalls gonna have to do a lot here and gets caught in the crossfire. It's all up to Void. Did pick up a Vandal, so a little more firepower to work with, but not enough when you're facing down the gun of Yurted Kirk, and he's feeling himself. As another round win, and USF brings it to map point.
Yeah, that ego peek from Kirk is really dangerous, but when you're feeling confident, sometimes you just gotta let your players do it, and that's something I've learned over the course of the time playing this game. Is just sometimes it may not look that great, but the end result, it just does look a lot better. And that's something that USF is very, very, very confident in, is being able to take those peaks, being able to ego peek, being able to just peek those corners. Honestly, that's what makes such a difference. Being able to get in your enemy's mind at that point just make you wonder, like, hey, how did he know I was there? Just like Kenny being able to take off of Bacon, he's just wondering, how did he know
I
he was
mean,
there?
how do you do that? Like, that was
Check
pure
his PC.
reaction. Yeah, it's like check the PC, check to see if there's like, you know, a robotic wrist that's running it. Just some crazy, crazy stuff. As now does look like with USF having a man down, it is going to be a little more difficult. And with Kenny on this operator, it's going to be also very, very difficult. And they are cutting off some of that influence, and a nicely placed shock dart combined with a clean headshot out of Seiko. I mean, whew, that's why they call him Seiko the Psycho sometimes with those crazy kills. But Smalls now behind this Viper wall. Could be dangerous. Does find one, finds two. Some beautiful crosshair placement as USF's force is quickly cut in half. As now Seiko loses the duel to Trident, and Trident keeps it going, as the Scarlet Tempest will have to keep these rounds coming, as they need 4 in a row to force overtime.
Yeah, and you gotta love what St. John's is doing right now. Remember, we just saw them going from 10-3 to now it's 12-8. Still trying to fight for their lives here, and honestly, it's something that we're gonna constantly be seeing in the collegiate scene. It's something I've even heard from other games, you know, in other regions, right? NA just has that tenacity of just never giving up, right? We don't know when to quit, and that's something St. John's is refusing to do, and this is what we love to see, being able to see just coming back from such a huge deficit to something so close now.
Yeah, I mean, we're within 4 rounds, and we've seen both of these teams, you know, be able to pick up that momentum, get things rolling. But USF, all they need is one, and sometimes that's the hardest part to get past, is realizing you can't get past one, and Void not letting anyone get past with those taps through the smoke, and Smalls finding jump killer. This save is going nowhere for USF, as St. John's are just keeping it clean, keeping it tight. Now Void looking for the final kill, will find it on the Kirk, as now we're within 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a save round, so we can't give them too much flack for it. But unfortunately, you gotta get those trades in, and that's something that USF is lacking right now, is not being able to trade off their, you know, their teammates' kills here. You know, there was even a point where, you remember, I think it was Reyna that was in the corner of B main. You know, 2v1, right? It doesn't matter what guns you have, as long as you have somebody else there to pick up the kill, it should work. And unfortunately, it's not working for USF.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, we saw Smalls just have a couple of crazy kills, as now Kenny is stepping up, and Psycho staying alive. This S-Flow did go low, but not quite enough to really break through, as now Kenny doesn't even find the kill. Seiko with the nice coordinated peek up top off the high ground, and taking that op out of Kenny's hands is pretty big.
Yeah, and that's what you want. And I just said it, right? You know, you want to make sure that if you have one player with you, the next one can take the kill. And fortunately for USF, now they have the man advantage. Now you say, okay, we back up. Let's revision. What do we have open? This bird obviously says that we're not there. So if I was USF, I would do a split B take right here. Luckily, they only have Sova on B, so let's see if they can capitalize on this.
Yeah, but the window is small, and it's just getting smaller, as we can already see the rotations coming through. The Empress gets popped for Smalls. Now this is going to be scary. Does manage to stay alive from the overheal and that empowered dismiss, but that's really going to be the one to watch. Hunter's Fury also committed. Seiko finds Smalls, and there's the X Factor gone, as now S-Flow dead as well. It's all up to Void, a 1v4 to try and keep the dream alive of bringing this game to overtime. But USF want to put the first nail into this coffin of the series, want to find this first game, and Void having to clear every single corner, no one to work with. The Whirlpool dropped, and Now it's just a matter of time. The Pekin becoming a kill rate very, very soon. And there it is. There's the shot as Void goes down. And USF goes up 1-0 in the series up against the St. John's University Scarlet Tempest Esports.
Yeah, and you definitely love to see that as a USF fan and as an avid Valorant Go player. Definitely that's what we like to see. And going back to what I said earlier, you know, like that was something that we're missing, right? Playing off of each other, playing off of the fact that, you know, if one dies, make sure you get that kill for your teammate because they went in and got that info for you. And that's something funny enough that we get a lot of issues in ranked play, right? You want to be the duelist, but you don't want to get the deaths, right? You don't want your KD to get messed up. But for USF, it doesn't matter because we get those. We win those. We'll go win, get that info. And if we die, that's fine. We'll get that trade. But that is something that USF needs to take forward if they want to win and close this out.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw St. John's. We expected them to be strong, and they are certainly showing it. But we're going to have to see if they can answer back in the next map, as I believe we'll be going to a very short break as the next map gets loaded up. So remember, everyone stay strapped in. This is going to continue to be an awesome series as we're just waiting on that next match start up very, very soon. So stick around. And welcome back. We're jumping straight into Agent Select as we've got USF on the attack side and, of course, St. John's Scarlet Tempest Esports Red on the defending side to start things off. As, you know, USF, they just had a solid game one, but St. John's, very, very, very solid team overall as we saw.
Yeah, definitely. I love what I'm seeing from St. John. Honestly, they're giving USF a run for their money. What we thought was going to be a very easy, you know, it went from 10-3, what we were going to thought was to be a 12-3. They brought it back, and it's honestly something that USF really needs to focus on and realize how they're playing. They're playing very, you know, methodically here. That sometimes they are going to be playing pretty strong, and sometimes they're going to be playing patient. And that's something USF needs to also realize, that if they're going to be playing strong, they just need to hold that site. And if they know they like to stack a site, just avoid it. Try to work that mid. As we saw, USF really didn't like hold mid too much. So now that we're going to Icebox, same thing should apply here. You got mid. You got 3 lanes here. Make sure that all spots are being filled. And now it's even going to be tougher now knowing that they have the tube going into kitchen here on Icebox. So we got to see a little bit more effort to hold each of those pockets for USF.
Yeah, and we're seeing some pretty different agent compositions, I want to say. You know, St. John's sticking with the exact same team composition, same people on every single same agent that we saw last game. But USF swapping things up. Seiko going from the Sova to the Jet. Kirk going from the, you know, Sky to the Sova. And Jump Killer going from Jet to Sage. So a little bit of, I think, role whiplash for a couple of these players.
Yeah, and just like what we talked previously before the broadcast even started, this team likes to switch it up. They don't like to play typically. They don't just say, just because I'm an entry, I'm going to be entering all, you know, all the maps here. And that's what I really love about this team, man. Like, they really like to be, you know, a Swiss Army knife. And that's what I stress them to make sure that they can do. Be a Swiss Army knife. Make sure that if you need to play a different position, if you need to play a different agent, you are ready to go. And that's something I really, really hold to these guys, and I'm really proud of them for being able to see. St. John's, I see that they're going for this almost pretty much the same comp too. So it's going to be interesting to see that, you know, one has one more duelist than the other. Icebox is very, very territorial when it comes to, you know, being able to take on a site. They have to play with confidence here. So let's see if St. John can, you know, give them a run for their money here.
We are going to see USF sort of shying away from the traditional A start on Icebox and massing towards B. So maybe a little untraditional as the Owl Drone does go out. I believe it will spot. Actually didn't spot S-Flow, so Jump Killer going to be the first one to make contact and does go down, teleport out. Does give the info that the spike's on B side, but before that all happened, there was one kill that went over the way of USF, and Seiko going to go down before the bomb does, and Void slowing that plant. Very, very big for St. John's on holding this pistol round.
Yeah, you gotta love that Viper setup. Viper's so viable here, and the fact that they were able to hold off B with Viper's smokes and her wall, it's very, very nice to see that they were able to just get that first pick off of there. And now it's a 3-3 situation, holding this site right here.
Kirk with the right click into 2-tap onto S-Flow, as now it's all up to Smalls, but Smalls sort of the anchor of this Scarlet Tempest roster. He's been incredibly strong all day, and it's for shots like that that we see it, as doesn't quite matter. It turns around at just the wrong moment when the Viper wall came down, but whew, Smalls has been impressing me all day, I gotta say.
Yeah, Smalls looked like he was a sheriff out there with that sheriff, being able to take almost everybody down. And St. John could have won that, and unfortunately, there's a little thing called timing that a lot of us fall for. And unfortunately for them, Yurted was just ready to get the frag there. I mean, honestly, it might have been a different story if he didn't turn away. It's really interesting to think about.
Yeah, it is very interesting to think about. But, you know, there's no time to worry about it, as USF did pick up that first round, and now with the Spectres in hand, we'll look for that sort of anti-eco and get as many kills as possible, holding on to their guns. This is just a full A stack, so it does seem like USF are starting to sniff this one out. Kilroy with the Bulldog, getting some space mid, as now this is going to be a little tough, I think, for Scarlet Tempest to react to, as you're pretty committed to this A site stack.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can't blame them. Like, usually in the tradition of this map, if the site that you're pushing on works, you're gonna continue abusing it. But USF has other plans, and now they got to do the fat rotation here, and hopefully St. John can go on all sides here and make sure they can capitalize on the flanks and being able to push on Snowman. They got to really take advantage of the fact knowing that they're nowhere near mid or A, so they got to spread out.
Yeah, and you know, the trouble is it's sort of like roles have been reversed, but problem is the gun advantage and the man advantage is towards USF, at least on site, but not for long. Smalls quickly answering back, looking for more. 2 shots already in a jump killer, but does manage to find it. 2 go down for USF, but it felt a lot tighter than it really looked.
Yeah, honestly, that many bodies shouldn't have gone down for USF, so shout out to St. John's being able to at least get something off of them. It should have been an easy round for USF with knowing that they had the gun advantage, but we still take those. USF will still be able to win that. Now if you're St. John, at this point, you got to realize, okay, well, now we're down 0-2. We should be able to do the buy round here. Now you know USF is not going to play traditional here, so make sure not to have everybody stack a site.
Well, yeah, I mean, now that they have the guns, I doubt we're going to see that stack again. It felt like just sort of an eco round forced option, as now this is the much more traditional, you know, 1, 2-ish towards mid, an anchor on A, 2 towards B, as now Kilroy with this pistol is stepping forward. And now this is going to be a little awkward, I think, for Smalls to really hold on to, or at least buy the time. But this Viper wall is doing quite a bit as far as buying time. And, ooh, the timing doesn't find Seiko. And this could be awkward if he falls down a little early or gets caught, and does get caught. So first kill going the way of USF. Kilroy with just the chamber pistol, sort of the budget sheriff at times, if you will. Seiko holding it down. Kirk taking down S-Flow, and these rifles are starting to drip into USF's hands, but Void doing a lot of work on the side, but the shock dart will shut it down. So now it's all up to Trident. Gonna try and find something here, but the bomb already taking so low. Maybe just look for an exit on the Seiko, and that will be it. Looks like Seiko might be forced to go down with the ship, as actually everyone has, I believe, made it out of the blast range, but Kirk finds Trident on the back end and prevents that gun from being saved.
Yeah, unfortunately, something I saw from St. John's is that they didn't really rotate quick enough here. I felt like they were trying to see if there was anybody lingering, but you got to understand that if you know the bomb is planted onto site, you need to go help out your teammates. Reyna should have not stayed on there by themselves for that long, unfortunately. But USF was also able to be very clever here and just be able to hold sites, but hold corners. Don't expose yourself. Use your ears first before you use your vision. They heard the rafters. They were able to get the Reyna, and then because of the late rotate, they were able to just pick off everybody outside of the bomb plant. And unfortunately for us over here, there was not much you can do, and they took off another gun from them. So USF right now has to be feeling really good. And St. John's right now, their coach might be a little angry on that play. I would be too. Honestly, you need to be a little bit more quicker on those rotates. But St. John's using the tactical timeout here. This is a reset. This is something that they can use and make sure that they go back in here with a fresh mind.
Yeah, fresh mind, fresh face. Does give you that cooldown time. Doesn't let your opponent, just start running over you with that momentum. But the trouble is also, it does give that cooldown time for your opponents, so maybe they can start breaking down pieces of your game that you hadn't figured out yet, or that they just wanted to work on or think about. And also, this is Icebox is traditionally a USF comfort map, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, USF really likes, as you can see, USF really likes Icebox. There's something about Icebox that it just had like the fracture call, right? No one liked it. No one wanted to play. Everyone would try to dodge it. But now Icebox has become sort of like like comfort food, comfort map for USF. And I'm glad to see that they're just going in there and being able to take the picks before they take the site, which is really important.
Yeah, now, I will say, sort of silver lining is that all that Scarlet Tempest was really able to invest was those sheriffs, but still, good measured play because we know how deadly they can be with those sheriffs in hand, and Smalls Exhibit A finding Kilroy, as now Kenny all alone in kitchen, and Psycho will shut that down as it's just up to Smalls. And I mean, Smalls, again, has been my standout player at the very least for this St. John's roster. Very, very fun to watch. Very, very talented player. But now spotted out with just a sheriff. Likely won't be able to do much. The shock dart, all the util, all the shots coming in. And Jump Killer will find the kill.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with you there. Smalls has been very, very successful on these past couple of rounds, even in the last game. Unfortunately, St. John needs to really step up here if they really want to get it back. Smalls doing what he can to get any kills he can in between. And if I'm St. John's here, I would really want to back up Smalls here. Smalls has been getting the picks off here. That's something that you need to make happen. It's like a snowball effect, right? Get Smalls. Smalls getting the picks here. Play off of that. Make sure that he's still alive because he's one of your best players. Go off and make sure that if he does die, get his trade.
Yeah.
Make sure that his death is not in there.
100%. It's about managing your losses, and it's about making sure that if you do take a loss, you can find something else from it, as it did sound like the Chamber was forced to back off with the operator. As now Void dropping the Viper's Pit, preventing this push into B site off of main. As now this is awkward. Is sprayed down, does find Kirk, looks for another, and S-Flow finishing off the trifecta, but Seiko able to slow down the momentum, and now with the knives, finds S-Flow across the map, and what a beautiful shot from the Kunais. As now this is a 2v3, a little scary for St. John's. Everyone is sort of stuck in this snowman area. It's very tough to push out. You know that you're running into this jet that's starting to heat up as Seiko drops the rifle a couple times while trying to find the spike, and nearly gets shut down by Kenny.
30 seconds left.
Uses the cloud burst, uses the dash very, very well.
Last player
now,
standing.
with Kilroy dead, it's all up to just this one, and does find Kenny, but Smalls with the immediate refrag. So, 2 go down, but Scarlet Tempest finding some life.
Yeah, I really like that Viper play. That's something that they really took advantage. I'm sure the coach had pointed out, like, hey, you got your ult. Make sure you're using it if you know they're all there on B. And it really paid off. Unfortunately, that he didn't get that last kill. If he would have gotten that kill, I think it would have gone a lot quicker for St. John. But either way, that Viper ult play was really, really good for St. John. And now they finally got that point on the board. And now you got to be thinking, okay, we got the point on the board. We're only down 3. Let's make something out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, they strung together, I believe it was 5 or 6 rounds in a row last game, bring it to be as tight as it was. So there's certainly a lot of resilience in this roster, as they can certainly come back from a deficit and start building themselves back up. Now USF taking it a little slower at the start of this round.
Yeah, now that they know that St. John's is serious and back in the game, as USF, you really want to make sure that whatever site you're going to push, you're confident that you're going to be able to take over. And honestly, St. John, now that they were able to put their foot down and say, no, you're not going to take us away like that so easily. Now USF needs to be a little bit smarter about their plays.
Yeah, they've got to be smart, and when you're running into S-flow, you can't be taking these wide angle peaks. Did commit that
Spike planted.
very, very strong ultimate, sort of the 5-bullet operator. As now, just 25 health, does have to be careful, goes for a blind shot, doesn't tag anyone. He's finding a teleport setup, a little awkward one if I might add, and he's not able to find Kilroy, but Trident on the backside did find Seiko. And now it's a matter of holding in this 3v3. Smalls in the 1v1, just a little too strong, and what was quickly a 3v3 turns into a 3v1. But the Hunter's Fury is available. Those Smalls didn't get this up to the first tick, and that's going to be troubling. Trying to hold on to it. Does find Smalls, but you got to remember there's more here, and that first tick going down means that Kirk won't even have time for a lineup, as Scarlet Tempest just barely escaped by with 1 HP on their Sova.
Yeah, definitely amazing from St. John's. Although I wish they wouldn't have lost as many bodies, but the fact they were still able to get another round off of USF shows that they're still not willing to go down without a fight. It was very impressive picks off of here. Unfortunately for Kirk, was not in time to be able to get the kill and get the defuse. So now USF is going to have to play a little bit faster, a little bit smarter here. They can't take this lightly anymore.
Yeah, 100%. The rounds are starting to come together. That timeout, the results certainly paying off. USF sticking to this default they've been opening with pretty consistently. As the Owl Drone does get shot down, at least lets them know there's someone in the maze area. Is now Void sort of all alone on the B site, just holding it down. That's what every Viper does. And now Kirk does get spotted by the opponent's Owl Drone. Trident doing a good job of finding some info. And we're back to just sort of who's going to find the first pick.
Yeah, and you gotta see that now USF is feeling a little uncomfortable here, and you want to make sure that you don't let that uncomfortability take the best of you, because that's when the mistakes start to happen. So hopefully, let's see if USF can come back from this.
Yeah, we are going to see how they approach. They are running into a pretty tough setup as Void just sort of turns the corner, sees 3. That's got to be a little scary as all the util gets thrown out and feels like what was a stalemate just blows up instantly. As now does look like it is going to be Jump Killer committing the plant. And does get it down. Viper's Pit gets committed, but from the side of USF, Bacon popping that ultimate. Although these quick kills coming over to St. John's, is Bacon brought down to just 1 HP, trying to stay alive and has for quite a while. Kenny and Smalls, a duelist duo, doing so much work. Though they still got Kilroy to worry about, and that Empress will find it. Scarlet Tempest brings back to within 1.
Yeah, you really got to enjoy those Viper ults. If you're St. John, you're really starting to feel the heat right now. You're starting to feel like you're firing up. And that definitely just took another punch to the gut for USF. Honestly, they got to be playing better. They should know better by now that Viper is going to be playing B. And if she has her ult, there's a good chance that she's going to be popping it once you plant the bomb. So, I mean, kudos to St. John. USF needs to wake up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that Viper's Pit was Bacon's Viper's Pit. But the trouble was just, he went down very quickly after the fact. So it wasn't so much of, Scarlet Tempest using it defensively, but USF getting shut down after using it offensively is now that Chamber ultimate. Does get popped for the side of USF, and Kirk not able to find Kenny, as that opening pick is pretty big, and Smalls taking down Seiko now. This is going to be tough. Kilroy just sort of trickling in, and this round is sort of falling apart for USF, and I might be scratching their heads a little bit, trying to think of where it went wrong. As after this one, they're going to be forced to save. I think that was just about a full buy down from everyone, using the ultimates, using their resources, and now it's just Bacon trying to get as many guns out of their hands as possible. As does find S-Flow, but Smalls, they're just in time.
Yeah, and excuse me on that last one. I got a little side just like looking at the mini map, and I didn't now realize. So sorry that, but hey, even bigger kudos to St. John for making that play. Honestly, that was impressive. And right now USF and now being 4-4 tied, you got to be wondering what's going on. that's the biggest question mark on their heads right now is what's going on. Why isn't it working? if I'm USF, you need to really, really look at what are the decisions that you're making that is not helping this, right? If you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again and it's not working, what can we do better? What can be the difference maker here? Because St. John really now is turned up.
Ooh, and a lot of resources used immediately. That Hunter's Fury not going to find much. I don't think it tagged anyone as somehow Trident's able to pull out the gun and take down Seiko. Kenny finding Kirk, and these are, again, early picks going the way of St. John's as they're finding answers, finding ways to hold on, but Kilroy immediately strikes back on the Kenny. Trident very, very low on this Sova. Jump Killer bringing back Kirk. This could be big for the round, but Kilroy going down to Smalls, so that man advantage immediately taken back for St. John's as Jump Killer just caught lacking a little bit as Smalls just so solid. Kirk finds the trade, and Bacon gets Trident, but S-Flow finds Bacon. It's all up to Kirk trying to put that res to good use. Doesn't know where the other two opponents are. It does look like it will be a Rafters play. That Viper, that Snakebite coming out from that sort of Rafters area, that CT spawn section, does give a little info on how St. John's wants to approach.
Yeah, I really like what Kirk's doing here, that even though you don't know exactly where your opponents are, you still have some time on the clock before you really got to run and plan it. Fortunately for him, they were just ready for him to, to not make that play. And you really got to give it to St. John here with their eyes really open wide and making sure that they get a Smalls. It's just really impressive, right? Like, we can't stress this more enough. He's been playing way too good tonight.
Yeah, he's been playing
way too good.
Out of his mind. Out of his mind, absolutely. Like,
out of his mind.
I mean, you don't get Radiant without being pretty cracked. And, I mean, it certainly shows. So, very, 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 very strong player on the side of Scarlet Tempest, as now USF on this save round might try and pick up an early gun here from Trident, who's very far forward, but Seiko doesn't spot him. And, oh, man, this is sort of that proverbial game of chicken, and now it's actually Jump Killer who's sort of cut out from being able to support Seiko. And actually, they have no clue Seiko's here. There's no one on site. Trident takes down Jump Killer. This does prompt the rotate back from Smalls. It looked like USF was going for a bit of a fake, but losing that kill is big. As Seiko not in the right spot to actually convert off of being behind enemy lines. And Trident will pick up that Sheriff as USF's, I think, best opportunity is pretty much gone now. As Smalls gets the peek, finds the timing, and now it's just Kirk left. Not able to even find a kill. Flawless from the Scarlet Tempest, as maybe it's time for USF to think about a tactical timeout, sort of reflect, because ever since Scarlet Tempest got theirs, they've only lost one round.
Yeah, Scarlet is playing very well, very clean. And, there's not a lot of rounds where they have everyone live, but the fact that they're still taking rounds off of USF, you got to be wondering, what is it that the coach told them? Because honestly, I wouldn't know. I need to find a way my players can wake up after, being down 0-4. So kudos to St. John's here. But USF really needs to step it up here if they really want to take this map off of them.
Yeah, some of those little details you've got to figure out. Seiko does get spotted. Snakebite dropped, as well as the additional smoke, so it does look like Void is going to set up sort of a little wall, and S-Float does go down around mid. The wall being, I think, through tube. Oh, Jump Killer about to get killed. This did spot out that the opposite is there, and this is just so scary. Oh, and the approach comes in. Bacon finds Kenny. Void, though, up top finds one, nearly finds two, but will not be able to do so, as now with those defenders gone from the B side, it's going to be the rotates from Smalls and Trident to try and bring this one back. It's USF fighting to keep it even at the half, but Empress used by Smalls, and Seiko there to just immediately snipe him down. And this makes the job all that much tougher for Trident, and when you're missing shots like that, it's going to hurt when you could have gotten that pick, gotten an opening. Now forced to recon behind yellow box, not going to find much, and Jump Killer is going to find Trident's head clean off with that Sentinels of Light, skin. It's really, really nice, honestly. I like the crossover.
Yeah, I really like the gun sound from the Sentinels of Light, really. That's probably my favorite Vandal right now. But USF finally waking up. I'm really, really happy to see that they're finally trying to get something going. I'm sure that in their mindset, if I'm USF, they were just saying, look, they're playing smart, but we got just win the duels, and we'll get the site. And that's exactly what happened. It started trickling down, and unfortunately for St. John's de Silva, was not able to get that kill. And I do think, just like you were saying, if he would have gotten that pick, maybe things would have been a little bit differently. But luckily for USF, it did not. And now, hopefully, they'll get this tied up, and they'll be able to switch and recover from the little loss they've gotten.
Yeah, we're going to see if they can do that. S-Flow does have a little bit of info that USF is pushing towards that B site, so it does get immediately traded, though. It's Kilroy going to pick up the opponent's op, but still a little worse for wear, honestly, all things considered, as now the Blade Storm does get used up by the side of St. John's. They will have access to those knives. Kirk not able to find the kill. Does drop the recon dart. Not going to find anything. It's both Smalls and... Can't remember who the jet player for Scarlet Tempest is off the top of my head, but still, regardless, it's going to be tough. Oh my gosh, Kirk and Void just sort of looking past each other. Not sure what happened there. I thought that Void was behind a wall, and that's why Kirk didn't just immediately kill him. But you know, happens to the best of us. Is now Kenny with the kunai is going to find one, looking for more, as Kirk does go down to those blades, as Kenny sort of really just combining all of Jet's power. You've got the knives, you've got the operator, everything that you could ask for, but don't have much space or much room to work with, as these Viper smokes have been doing a lot of work. Kilroy low, but that shock dart's not going to find him, as just so much stall being used by USF, and that op's a great way to stall. Finds Jump Killer, looking to try and use that ultimate, but it's not enough, as the lineups proving to be a little too strong from Bacon, and yeah, can't even try to stick it. There's the lockdown, and no time, doesn't matter. USF gonna pick up that round, and the Vipers pit on the end just for good measure.
Switching sides.
Yeah, you gotta love what Kenny did. I really like the fact that he went mid, tried to activate some traps, and it looked like it worked, where it seemed like they were probably calling out, USF was probably calling out like, hey, there's flank. But honestly, like, that was really smart. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for them. But you know, because we got lineup Larry Bacon over here, ready to get that Viper spit going, and you know, great for USF, was able to pick up the win, and now they're 6-6. And with the mental, you know, right now they got to go in with is now like, okay, look, we're 6-6. You know, we're 6 away from winning this game. We brought it back. Now we need to do the same thing they did, so we can come back and win.
Yeah, and both teams being 6-6 certainly goes a long way, as now, just again, that stalemate, first round. Oh, but a nice shot from Kenny onto Seiko, and just cuts his head clean off, as now Smalls trying to step forward, as Gilroy gonna have to hold on, but that teleport right out of sight works out perfectly. Now,
yeah, and you really gotta love that fact that they were able to get that just off of Ghost. Honestly, it's so much cheaper than a Sheriff, and he managed to work and got the entry with a Ghost. It's really impressive.
And Smalls using the OG Sheriff instead of the new and improved Chamber Sheriff, as it's going to work out just fine for them. USF, 3 members strong, but Scarlet Tempest with 4. Although, low health bar for Trident, so going to have to keep that in mind, but Kenny doesn't care. Does just chop down Bird and Kirk, and now Jump Killer should find a kill here.
Awkward.
Oh, awkward, and that is brutal. Kenny with the 4K.
Yeah, you gotta love what St. John's did there. Honestly, their entries did their job, and they did it very well. So kudos to St. John being able to push onto site, getting their team on site. The Jet and Reyna really made the difference there. So now with this momentum shift, hopefully they might be able to just say, hey, you know, take us seriously, or you're gonna be paying for it.
Yeah, most certainly. As now, striking first in this second half is St. John, and they're doing getting a good start rolling. As I mean, Kenny certainly showing off that last round in the pistol, but now USF just want to get as many guns out of St. John's hands as possible. Smalls already with the Vandal pickup. This is going to be scary.
Yeah, honestly, St. John's is playing with the mentality of like where they want to close it out already. So USF really has to play on the defensive here. They can't keep giving up a site like this, because if not, they're just gonna continue getting rolled here.
That they are, but Bacon finding a kill onto S-Flow. That's a nice opening. Does go down very, very low.
Spike
Void does
planted.
find jump kill on the other side. A nice headshot out of Kirk, but you just don't have the range with that classic after your first shot. So you lose that accuracy so quickly. And Seiko's gonna find one, looks for two, tries to take the duel against Trident, but again, just not much range in that shock dart. Not quite enough, and somehow finds another. And I mean, really stellar performance from USF to find 3 with just a couple pistols.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't get the round, but fortunately, they got some guns off of them, which is really going to go a long way for them to make their recovery back to tie this up. But again, St. John's really just showing that they're not going to give up anytime soon. So if you're USF, you really got to focus on being able to hold those sites, because if not, St. John's is just going to take advantage and keep winning it every single round.
Yeah, that they do. As you're going to have to figure out this team, and they're starting to pick out, I think, how St. John's likes to attack, but there's still a lot of game to be played. There's still a lot of rounds to be played, and this is the first gun round. This is sort of the definer, I want to say, of both of these teams. Is a nice little chunk of damage on the Bacon. But Seiko, I love this angle. I love these positions where you just sit with the judge as a Jet, and you're like, who's gonna be? Who's it gonna be?
Who's my first victim here?
Looks like it might be Void, but doesn't peek here. And oh, it's so tight. And you might just wait for some jump or something. You just have to turn around. Okay, heard him now.
Does he get him,
my
though?
God.
Does he see him?
Oh, the trigger discipline
No.
knows there's
No.
one more. Oh!
Poison's gone.
Dashes forward, and no one can respond. Great stuff. Kilroy taking out Smalls. There's the A player. Kenai going down as well. The next duelist, it's really just Trident and S-Flow. Thank you, Observer, for pulling that up for me. As I lost it. I've watched this guy play. You know, I spent an entire weekend covering this team and somehow forgot S-Flow. As now is just going to try and link back up with Trident.
30
Gonna hand
seconds
off
left.
a couple guns. But Seiko with this judge, an absolute menace as Trident goes down again, has the sheriff. Oh man, finds Bacon, but Jump Killer gets the response. I can't get over it. It's just so fun.
Psycho, so annoying with that judge. But you really gotta appreciate the art of the judge here. He was so patient, trigger discipline, just like you said, was able to get the info for his team first and foremost. And I think that's where the trigger discipline really came for. It's just knowing how many were really there. And I think with that piece of information, USF was able to do what they had to do. And nice picks coming off from A side as well, was able to really condense the room for error for them to get this onto site.
Yeah, absolutely. As USF, they did pick up the first gun round, but this is sort of the trend we've seen. You know, whoever loses the pistol tends to win the first gun round. You do have that advantage in firepowers. I mean, maybe not with the judge, but traditionally you have more rifles. And now with full rifles in the hands of St. John's, are able to put together a nice start. Seiko, though, taking out Void, it's going to be a lot of stall removed from the St. John's roster.
Yeah, and St. John's now really has to focus in if they want to win this. For sure, they've been doing well. They've been taking lead this whole time, but now USF is starting to pull back. So if I'm St. John's, I really want to minimize that pullback that USF is really trying to do.
Yeah, this is an important round, and Seiko starting it off strong for USF, and S-Flow forced to go all the way back to Belt. As now, last player standing, but it's Smalls. This is the one you got to watch out for, but not if you're Jump Killer and just get the head clean off. But might not be time for USF. It's ticking down. It's going to be close, and 0.48 seconds remaining. USF ties things up.
What a nail biter for Jump Killer to still get off the bomb and still be able to defuse. Luckily Valorant lets you at least gets to half, where versus traditional games like CS, like if you get off the bomb, that's it. Like, forget about it, run away. But luckily there for Jump Killer, he got it to half, got the kill, and was able to defuse. And very great play from Jump Killer himself. And that's something that USF really needs to hold on to, that momentum, really be able to just take it away from St. John.
Yeah, well, on the last two gun rounds, Blade Storm's committed from both sides, and One point to note is St. John's does have access to 4 ultimates total, so even though they might not have all the guns they want, might be able to make up for that firepower, but Seiko already taking down Smalls. It's going to be a big hit as that Reyna, that Space Maker, certainly going to be tough to deal with. Now it looks like a bit of a jet duel is manifesting outside. Seiko takes down Kenny with the Sheriff, not with the blades. Now it's all up to Trident. Just a sad little classic in hand. Nearly finds the kill on the Bacon, but Bacon nice and solid, nice and crispy with it, is going to find that round, and USF find a lead once again.
I love how low your voice went for the sad little classic. So soft. Like he's just a puny little bunny. But no, honestly, yeah, it was a great play from USF. Honestly, they're finding their stride back. St. John's really needs to come up with an answer soon, because if not, USF, and as we know, will take advantage of it and be able to just run off with the win if they continue to have this momentum.
Yeah, they absolutely will. As now, Bacon just sort of hanging out where most Vipers do on that sort of B corridor. As now, Scarlet Tempest just going for a pretty standard A rush up. They've got rifles, they've got options. Smalls does have access to the Empress. Wouldn't mind seeing it here. Hunter's Fury popped by Scarlet Tempest. And oh, so is the Viper's Pit. Trident takes down Kilroy, and this A site is completely controlled. It's going to be a very tough retake. Bacon starting things off by taking down Trident.
Yeah, I really like that ult from there. Really made USF scared to push onto site, giving St. John's a chance to be able to hold this site. Now, will USF be able to take this away from them? I wonder. With the man advantage here, USF has a tough job ahead of them.
Nice shot from Kirk, but honestly, this does feel like a pretty lost round just with how much the side of St. John's did invest. They threw down the Viper ulti and the Sova ulti, so some pretty big cooldowns were used up to bring back the equalizing round. And so makes you wonder, Jump Killer taking down Small. It's another gun to take out of their hands. But, with so many resources used, will St. John's be able to, continue putting rounds on the board in these gun rounds without some of those resources? If the Viper's Pit isn't there, USF has a lot more space to work with.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Right now, both teams have 2 utils that they can use. But right now, it does seem like USF has the more advantage of the utils, right? Because as Chamber, you have your Ob, Reyna, you have, Empress. But that, I feel, won't be enough. Because with Viper, you'll be able to hold onto your site and cut off vision. And with Sage, if someone does go down, you'll just bring them back. So let's see. Hopefully, we'll see some counterplay from St. John's with this.
Yeah, it looks like we will. The immediate Viper's Pit from Bacon sort of taking that gamble. Will they come A? Will they come B? And it seems like they were already going A. And ooh, Smalls barely winning that one out. But Reyna diff and S-Flow sort of saying op diff. As now Kenny and Boyd and the entire St. John's squad just getting complete control. Bacon on the very late rotate over to try and help Jump Killer as those Odin shots are scary spraying through the wall. As these 2 teammates are going to link up and see if they can make any magic happen.
Yeah, and you got to be wondering, Jump Killer, are you going to use that ult? Is it worth using that ult right now? And not clearing that corner might be a mistake for Jump Killer. And unfortunately, it does. You see, he was about to use the ults, but unfortunately, just was the timing. The timing is not there.
Yeah, timing wasn't there, and Bacon finds Kenny. But honestly, this is already a lost round. USF really just playing for exits. And while it is good to, get your jet back up, they are going to be able to save this op so long as Seiko gets out of the blast range and Trident doesn't find him. So no op will be retained, I believe, for either team. So there's at least that advantage. There's at least that, silver lining for USF. But Scarlet Tempest striking into double digits.
Yeah, and if you're, Scarlet, right now you have that momentum going for you. You have that confidence going for you. You just took away one of their biggest rounds for USF. So now how do you capitalize that? If I'm Scarlet, just taking these picks off of them, taking these guns away from USF, you really need to take advantage of the fact that now they are kind of crippled. This is the time to take over the game.
Yeah, that it is now you really do need to strike back now. Otherwise, it could start to snowball out of control with it being this close to a win. I mean, really for either team, it's sort of round to round, and USF forced on a save here, which makes sense, sort of play towards 11, not try and force every round. Now Smalls does aggressively push across. Voltorb getting picked up, so nothing too crazy, but Psycho does have that operator. Maybe it was a bit of a mixed buy for USF, or supporting that sort of hero op buy, as you're gonna see. Scarlet Tempest still not completely secured on this site, and that's good for USF.
Yeah, and right now, if you're USF, you got the man advantage. Just try to play off of that, play off of each other. And unfortunately for Kirk right there, since no one was with him, no one could get that refrag right there. But you still have the 4-4. You got an ult. You got Seiko going off. Take advantage of it right now.
Absolutely. That Void going down is a lot, and Smalls, though, is going to be very scary on this Reign. That Empress certainly trying to rule over USF. As Jumpkiller does take Trident. It's 2v2, but doesn't feel like it, as Jumpkiller going to quickly remove Smalls from the equation. Now it's just S-Flow, and S-Flow is going down. As USF immediately strike back, and they're into double digits as well. 10-10, you couldn't ask for a tighter match.
Right now, it's just such a match, man. Like, this is like, if you're USF, this is the match you want. This is the match that will make or break you in the sense of how much better have you gotten over this past couple days, right? If you're scrimming and doing all this and you've been winning, and now you're going up against a team that plays as well as you, how are you going to defeat them? How are you going to take back these rounds? How are you going to be able to get these last 3 rounds in to be able to win the game? All you need is 3 more, and it'll be an equal, just a win. Or is this going to be going to overtime?
Yeah, and I mean, something important to note is USF, they've been making these rounds expensive even when they have been, on the back foot economically, even when they have been forced to save or do these awkward mixed buys, as, the side of St. John's, they're forced to just Sheriffs. I think they've got 1 Spectre, and that's all. So beyond that, really is just going to come down to whether or not USF can find these kills with that gun advantage. Seiko, an awkward spot, pretty committal here. So it does have Kilroy on the flank and sort of the 2-op setup, but Smalls did make it around the corner. Kirk, though, gets the kill back onto Kenny, and now it really is just Smalls with this Sheriff. Of course, there is Void, but Void's playing more of a lineup angle. Smalls going to have to hold off 4. This is going to be tough.
Yeah, unfortunately for Smalls, I don't think a Sheriff will be enough. And I speak too soon. Oh, never mind. Okay, I was about to say that spoke too soon for him. Maybe the Sheriff was the answer, but unfortunately for him, USF was able to take him down. And it doesn't look like this lineup will do much for him either. Yeah, USF is just now answering the call.
Yeah, they already got it to half, so even though it did start ticking down pretty rapidly, there was no real issue, nothing to be worried about. As USF,
I'm not sweating. You're sweating. I'm not sweating.
I saw it get to half, and I was like, okay, they'll be fine, because that I think is a point where you can even tank out a Viper Molly. You can't do it if there's also the smoke adding the decay on top, but I think you can tank just the Molly itself with that 4-second timer. So USF really playing around that. Now they just need 2 more rounds, but this is really going to be the big one. If they can win this round, again, puts Scarlet Tempest in a forced position, but if USF loses it, then the inverse is true. So this is a pretty big round for both teams.
Yeah, right now, if you're Scarlet Temple, you're going to do everything you can to take away this round, because if not, it might look bleak for you guys.
Yeah, and S-Flow taking Kilroy's head clean off. That is going to really open things up for them, as Kenny's in this corner. And it's just sort of this waiting game when you see all the Viper smoke up and you can't see much. Gotta wait. As do like this adjustment, making over early, but doesn't matter. Is again, these entries are just very, very strong for the side of St. John's, and Kirk, without much util to work with, does have the recon arrow now. It's back off cooldown, does spot out Trident. That's about it. Don't think that they're aware of Kenny right below Dex, but Seiko with the check does find it. Still a man disadvantage for USF, but some scattered positions out of St. John. Smalls, as always, you know, that front line gets one immediate dismiss around the corner. Looking for Kirk, can't find it. There's the headshot. We already know that Void likes these lineups. Kirk forced to find all of them. Void having already dropped one, and Kirk assumes he's on the other side, but the snake bite sinks its fangs into Kirk as we are at 11-11. Everyone in middle school, make a wish.
Kirk, unfortunately, was not able to get that bomb on time. But, like, kudos to him. He almost had it. Unfortunately, it was either take the risk and possibly die from the molly, which he did, or do nothing. And I think, still, regardless, at the end of the day, those kills, taking off those guns, is still going to be pretty useful for USF, as they're going to have to use their economy up more than they should.
Yeah, USF doing what they can, trying to hold on. I think that they do have rifles across the board, but maybe not all the utility you'd necessarily want. Actually, it does look like mostly full util, so USF still has a lot to work with this round. And oh, Seiko with the fancy feet, but Trident is able to find it with the Hunter's Fury, and Kilroy shut down as looks like USF's A-hold just not quite working out, as now just 2 members left standing. Void finding Jump Killer. It's just Kirk, and can't really expect him to find the 1v5. With this round win, it means that there's plenty of money for St. John's to work with, and USF are the ones on the back foot. 1 round, St. John's wins, we go to a game 3. USF wins, we go to overtime.
Yeah, shout out to St. John. I mean, they're really impressing me right now. They do not look anything like they did in their first game, which is really, really good, because USF really needs that challenge. If you want to grow as a player, you need players that are going to be able to push you to your limits. And right now, their backs are on the wall. And USF really needs to come out. And if they really want to close this out, it's time to go to overtime.
Yeah, backs against the wall. Little scrappy by Blade Storm combined with a Bulldog, as St. John's, they're saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As, oh, S-Flow nearly going down to the knives, as this push has been working out very, very well. This sort of blitzy setup that they like to play is working out perfectly, but back turned. Kirk finds Smalls, and that's a big kill to start. Jump Killer finds Kenny. Seiko finds Trident. Void, though, answering on to Kirk, and you got to remember, S-Flow still has that chamber operator, so still some scary stuff bound for Scarlet Tempest, and there is, of course, that Viper's Pit that for Viper, you know, the giant smoke cloud. So
yeah,
lots of options.
Yeah, my hands are sweaty right now for USF. Right now, St. John's is just not giving up. It doesn't matter what the man advantage, doesn't matter what the numbers are saying right now. They're not giving this up. They still got 35 seconds on the clock. If you're USF right now, I really like that they have their backs on each other, making sure they have every corner watched, because let St. John give the advantage, and you will pay the price for it.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to see that pit procced, as now Seiko might be the first one into the gas with those blades, trying to maybe just find a quick right click. And there it is. Void's gone. And S-Flow tries to strike back, but Jump Killer with the refrag. USF forced this to go to overtime.
Switching sides.
What is it in they say in the sports world? What are the 2 best words to hear in a game? Overtime. I love it, love it, love it, love it. There are not out. This has been just a no holds barred match right now. It's just been like neck and neck, like fist to fist. They're just taking everything they can. These 2 are fighting the hardest they can, and I really, if you're a fan of Valorant, you're a fan of this game right now. This is amazing.
Absolutely. I found out I was casting like yesterday. I was excited to get back into it. I don't think I've cast Valorant actually since the EGFC Power Series, and coming back into such an amazing matchup is just, you know, it's a treat, you know. It's a treat that I get to come out here and do this for my job.
Yeah, for sure. And to see both teams, even though they made their roster changes, they're still equally trying to fight for their lives out here.
And I like this aggression. Though Kenny does get traded. Still some nice movement, and shots getting fired back and forth. Both chambers sort of wave high and mid. Miss all their shots. So now it looks like USF trying to rotate around. Void, though, with this sneaky position right around the backside and actually pushed past the Viper wall and some really heads-up play out of Void.
Yeah, and you gotta love that by Void. You're gonna have to do anything it takes to get these numbers down, and that corner just might be his saving grace right now as he took down Bacon. And right now, USF, even though with the man advantage, they're still gonna be walking. They're still gonna be taking their time. They know that in overtime, this is the only time you could get this position. This is the only time you could be, you know, playing defensively. So you gotta make it count.
Absolutely. Now, Seiko trying to find some space on site. S-Flow gonna peek around the corner, finds the headshot. That's gonna bring down USF's numbers once again. Left. It's really just gonna be a matter of can Jump Killer and Kilroy strike out, and Kilroy certainly making a start, but wasn't expecting Void, and peeks out before the reload is finished. A pretty big mistake. It's all up to Jump Killer. He's gonna get this plant off. Does know that Void's around the corner, but not in the best position to do anything about it. Barely makes it around, as now 3 members strong, all striking forward as that Viper smoke while Trident goes down. It's not gonna matter. Smalls and Void there for the cleanup, finishing things off as St. John's put themselves once again to map point.
Switching sides.
And shout out to both of them. They really did their part, holding the bomb down, being able to just make sure that Jump Killer just did not have any chance whatsoever to come back with that. And shout out to them. Now they just need one more round to take it to game 3 here. If you're USF, you got to be thinking, okay, what do I got to do to take this to a second overtime? Because if you take it to game 3, a loss here is so hard to come back as a player and as an athlete. Everyone knows it's so hard to come back mentally from these type of games.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult, and we're already seeing the util commitment from St. John's onto this ace site, so might prompt some faster USF moves, but you have to note S-Flow is watching the flank, so Bacon about to run into each other. This was actually a prolonged fake, forcing the rotates. Now S-Flow making the call, but Bacon shuts him down, and that might be the indicator USF needed to, again, make rotates of their own. Viper Smoke slowing things down. Trident serving his entry here, as now the last Snakebite used. So it is going to come down to, I think, just some individual gun skill until the rest of the team can come in for the support. But that opening pick, very, very big for Bacon. As Small's about to peek around the corner, and Bacon not finding the shot. Going to get punished, and this is going to open up the space for the plant to come down. Penny goes down as well. Smalls just biding time. Seiko did find the smoke lineup. And barely makes another. Try and slow things down as St. John's doing an excellent job at slowing the pace, buying as much time as they can, letting that bomb tick down. They know all they need is for that bomb to explode. They don't need to do anything flashy, but Smalls says, I'll just get a quick 4K and force game 3.
Oh, no. How you gonna let him do that? What an impressive display from Smalls. We said it from the beginning. He is dangerous. There was no way they should have left him open like that. And kudos to St. John's taking this to best of 3, literally in every sense. Now USF with their backs, well, I mean, both teams back with their backs turned. They gotta make sure they win this, because if not, that's just a loss, and that loss is no bueno when you're up in this league.
Yeah, it's very, very true. Very, very high skill league. Very tough opponents, and we're seeing that today. USF and St. John's taking it to each other, going to overtime on Icebox. We're going to have to see who wins this thrilling series right after a short break. Everyone, stay tuned. Oh. Looks like we're having a bit of a production delay, so just making sure everything's lined up, as we are going to go to break very, very shortly. Once we get everything lined up, I think we're just making sure the computer. And welcome back, as we are in Game 3 of the ECAC Week 3 match between USF and St. John's. As we're going straight into Agent Select, and USF starting off on attack, and the side of St. John's starting out on defense.
Yeah, and Breeze is just one of those maps, and another one of those maps that a lot of people don't agree on. But shoot me if I'm wrong, but I think Breeze is a really good map, and here's why. If you love just a point and click, you like to just aim battle, this is the map to do it. Very simple, 3 lane. Again, and I stress a lot about the 3 lane here because a lot of people didn't like that Riot just came out with Fracture and it just kind of messed with the formula, right? So the 3 lanes is, and I can't stress it enough. I wish I could talk to the developers. I like, you don't need to mess with the formula.
Select
Just
your
keep it
agent.
3 lanes. Just keep it 3 lanes. I think we all agree that, that's something we want. And Breeze is just one of those maps that even though it is traditionally 3 lanes, it is such a aim battle map, and I love it. And to see that both teams are pretty much almost identical. The only difference is I like St. John's pick because Sova, again, it being an aim battle here, you want to make sure that you could get as much info as you can in case if they're hiding in any little corner as possible. So St. John, I feel like might have the advantage here, but I do like USF's pick of having a Sage just because if she's on one site, you could definitely hold off the push with her wall, and it's something so crucial because you need time to give your players to be able to go around and be able to, come from their site and come onto yours. That way they could give you the backup you may need.
Yeah, absolutely. As now it looks like Scarlet Tempest, they've actually stuck with the exact same team composition throughout all 3 maps. So that's it's pretty interesting. We don't see that all too often, especially with how different these maps have felt. I think like Icebox, Ascent, and Breeze, they're all pretty big maps. But again, I feel like there's a little space to not just go, Jet, Reyna, Silva, Chamber. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess, as they just won with it on Icebox. And now going to another very large map in Breeze. Couple shots fired from both teams, but nothing too crazy overall, as USF just looking for a way to open this map up.
Yeah, and if any of our viewers that have not played Valorant in a while, and it's understandable sometimes the game is a little too mental breaking, Breeze just got a facelift of a couple of things changing on both sides. You got A now just completely in water with the pyramids, and over here on B, you're gonna notice now when Void probably backs up into this, there's a larger space for you to hide in the back. And great pick from Void here.
Yeah, adding a few more defensive options, as I think it was Jump Killer just got a little too excited, jumping right past that snake bite. As a couple shots dropped from S-Flow onto Kilroy, and USF already with just 3 out of their starting 5 members.
30
Bacon
seconds left.
will not be able to find the
One
plant.
enemy remaining.
Kirk gets
Spike down
kill
B.
Seiko as well, but not likely going to be enough unless Seiko goes absolutely insane. Doesn't spot Kenny coming around the corner and wasn't ready for Trident's rotate and reposition. So St. John's, nice start to this third game.
Yeah, and it was a really good push by them as well, being able to get that early pick. Void was able to just be able to handle it while his teammates were rotating. Honestly, again, Breeze is even though definitely both Icebox and Breeze are a big map here. What makes the difference between the 2 maps is that there's just so much space for you to be able to just look for your opponents. In Icebox, there's a lot of corners. In Breeze, there's not that many compared to Icebox. And it's just a very, you got to get your shot in.
Yeah.
That's the case point I'm just trying to make. You got to get your shots in. This really tests your aim here.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of getting your shots in, Smalls, just one tap. You heard one bullet come across the Breeze Beach, and it meant that there was one less member of USF down as Kenny finds Bacon. Now, Smalls trying to do something. Can't find Seiko, and Jump Killer as well. And again, it's just, not very many guns, not much to work with. As Kirk does find S-Flow, so at the very least, that's 1 kill. USF's able to pick up, and they could find a plant. That would be huge. It is going to take quite a bit. Just 2 members left standing.
Yeah, and right here, unfortunately, if you're USF, you kind of have to find something, even if it is taking a gun off of them. maybe trying to save it here. There's not much that USF can do here other than by saving grace, hopefully make a play here. But it
Ooh.
won't be too much trouble. Hopefully they can do something before
30
both
seconds
teams
left.
die. Maybe even a bomb plan will help them out here, as B is pretty empty. So if they manage to get this bomb plan, it'll be pretty huge for USF to bounce back from.
Yeah, completely empty. It'll give them some of that economic benefit. Although jump killer going very low, very quick is tried and running onto site, doesn't spot Seiko, and Seiko just clearing things out. He was just a little faster. I think that was 100% a plant, but now racing against the clock. Kenny coming in, and Seiko will find the plant, but doesn't know where the Jet's coming from. Might be found back to back, and there's the kill for Kenny. While a headshot from Jump Killer's nice, it's not enough. But still, USF finding that bomb plant, honestly, more than they probably deserved.
Yeah, honestly, that was a little slow for St. John for my taste. But I mean, the fact they still be able to get the round off of them is still great. But that does come at the cost of now USF has money. Now they have a little bit of advantage over you. Now it comes the time where now both teams have enough money for both util and guns. Let's see who wins the aim duels here.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when you're talking about Breeze, those Vandals are going to be really, really relevant, as it looks like the approach being taken by St. John's is just get forward, be aggressive, and stack this B site, and they're going to run into an entire USF roster, but Trailblazer goes down, doesn't find anything. Oh man, everyone is sitting here, and it's going to be a matter of where the spray comes down, and Bacon finds 2, Kilroy finds the 4th of the round, and in just a couple quick seconds, all of St. John's are gone, and while S-Flow is able to find 1, won't be able to find any more, USF puts their first round on the board. Excuse me.
And yeah, it definitely, this is what I'm talking about here. You know, I'm going to give you 2 key players to be watching right now from USF, and it's Psycho and definitely Bacon. Those 2 are going to be the difference maker here on this map. This is going to be where they're going to thrive and really flourish here, just because their aims, and I've seen it firsthand, being the opposite end of them, that they're going to use this map to their advantage. There's a reason why they like this map as well. We're going to see them do some crazy stuff here. St. John's needs to be prepared. Absolutely,
they need to be prepared. We're seeing a bit more of a standard setup now that St. John's actually has full rifles available to them. So it is, this more standard 2 towards B, 3 towards A default setup. Not much pressure being put towards mid, but honestly, the way they have it spread, it's working out pretty nicely. And this is just a lot of stall being used by Void on this B site.
Yeah, and as a Viper, that's what you want to do. You want to give that opportunity to stall so that your teammates can start flanking over here. And Void with I would say it's not necessary, but his util is definitely giving now a bigger slow for USF to push on now. Now USF is going to have to find somewhere else to be able to do the push here. And I do like that Seiko is looking at double doors, because that is a common area to get shot from.
Yeah, and Kenny just holding it incredibly well, not moving a muscle, just waiting for someone to peek around, and Seiko a little quicker on the trigger as found Kenny, and now it's going to be Smalls, sort of the next mini-boss to face down as Viper's pick gets dropped for USF, but Smalls is going to find 1, looks for 2, and that ultimate brought to the ground, as now here comes the retake, and it's all working out for St. John's as S-Flow really flowing with that Vandal. So now it's just it's not Killjoy, it's Kilroy left standing, and we'll opt just to save the Phantom, and there's really not much else you can do. It was looking so good for USF, but Smalls just doing what he does.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was nothing small about that play coming from Reina. Definitely, what a clutch moment for her, for him to be able to make those 2 picks, being able to take out, and now a wasted ult for USF. Now they're going to go in without that, and essentially, without a cause, without a reason now, because that did not give them the point that they needed to make sure that they were equalized on this map here. But just amazing coming out from Smalls there, and being able to just slow it down and being able to stop USF in their tracks.
Yeah, and the thing is, it was so tight going up until that happened, and there were so many resources used by USF could really impact them moving forward. So now USF does still have a bit of a buy put together, and Smalls is going to try and use that leer to his advantage. Finds one, finds two, and every single time squeezing water from Stone when surrounded. But Seiko finally shuts him down, as now USF with a little bit more site control should be able to get the plant down, but still a man disadvantage to work with.
Yeah, and you gotta love what St. John's is doing here. They're really holding their sides to the T here. But USF still getting that bomb plant is still meaning trouble for them. They need to stop USF from being able to plant. If they really
What?
And Kirk getting those two kill from there was very major for USF.
Yeah, if Kirk was able to get S-Flow, that would have been massive. Kilroy forced to run all the way through, and I think Seiko had a couple lineups, but wasn't quite able to knock him down. Ooh, finds Void off of a nasty flick, but doesn't really matter, as St. John's up 4-1, having a very, very strong showing in this game 3.
Yeah, and St. John's, even though I really, really liked their lineup, I'm liking their aim a lot more. Like I said in the beginning of this game, like I really did like their comp a lot more just because of being able to do with these agents. Chamber and Reyna have been definitely a really, really good strong suit for them on this map, holding them down.
Yeah, they've been working very, very well together. As I'm going to say, you know, at a few points, it feels like USF really could use that bonus information Sova provides. And maybe the Sage isn't compensating in other ways quite enough. It's tough to think of, you know, what's the ideal composition into your opponents. Is obviously you can't see what they're picking up. But, ooh, S-Flow and Seiko. Seiko does hear him, so at least that bit of information gathered.
I've got your trail.
Oh, and spots Void. This is some nice trigger discipline, just waiting for the peek out. Calling for USF to hold on, as now there's a shot in the back to Void. Seiko does find that one. Now this site's cut in half. Makes life very difficult. Smalls, though, in the corner, gets traded down. As now man advantage for USF. Haven't quite gotten the plant, and that could change quickly with Trident, but no, it doesn't quite work out. Kenny's so low, but so is Kirk, and this quickly flipped around. So now Kirk's gonna need to get the one tap on S-Flow to make this one work.
Oh, probably might actually have the advantage here. Super uncovered.
Oh, they're back to back. They don't see each other. Oh, no. If Kirk had just gone for the shot, who knows what would have happened. But those back-to-back moments are so brutal. As, you know, it just comes down to timing, and St. John's on the better end of that timing.
Honestly, that was really misplayed by Kirk there, and St. John's being able to take advantage of that. They really are taking advantage of any mistake that USF is making here. USF really needs to wake up here if they really want to take any rounds off of them. That was definitely a winnable match, round for them, but unfortunately they could not capitalize.
Most certainly was winnable. Just sort of fell through the cracks, and they're going to need to find something here, as, again, I think it's been 3 rounds since they've been able to pick one up. And now a quick attack forward, but Kenny, angled right over the Viper wall, but does immediately get shot down without doing more damage. So still, that works out for USF, and it's just a trade of the Jets. But now Trident coming in from double doors finds Bacon. Now without that Sage healing, could make life a little awkward. Kilroy goes for a peek, takes down Smalls. S-Flow, though, finds Kirk, and still, again, a man advantage for this Scarlet Tempest team. Molly's slowing things down, but the defuse nearly getting committed. Nice spray forward. Again, they haven't even managed to get one tick. Void gets spotted, but not fast enough. And S-Flow, with that tour de force, it's just going to clean up. And there is... I thought they didn't get that second tick, and that might have been curtains, but no need to sweat. St. John's pick up the round and are really breaking this lead wide open against USF.
Yeah, and right now, St. John has all the util and ults in the world that they need to even take this next round. And it's starting to look like it might be a 7-1. And if you're USF, you really need a round. You need to take off guns off their hands if you really want to make any more points on it before you switch to half. Right now, St. John's is looking like the stronger team, and it's clearly shown that like they use those first 2 games to really warm up, because now this is a different side of St. John's I've not seen.
Yeah, they're certainly heating up on this map. As looks like that was just a bit of a leg onto S-Flow from Kilroy. And ooh, Seiko, you've got to hold on to window, as Smalls is going to pick up a free kill mid. Now USF, this is an eco round, so not expecting too much. This is likely to go to 7-1, but again, as you brought up, doing damage, hurting the econ, that's what it's really about. Can't quite find it. S-Float does go down to Kirk on the flank. This might open up a little space for the side of USF.
Teleport's ready.
Now Smalls is going to be coming around the corner. Will Kilroy be able to find him? Just needs to scope in. Oh, man, and it is so tight between these two. And shots go down. Kilroy forced to teleport out after getting spotted by Smalls. Now Kirk, though, might have an opportunity to do something, as Kilroy's got the flank. And now here comes the Viper Wall. Finally gets committed.
30
Kirk
seconds.
did see the gun barrel, but it's not enough. Void sprays down. Hunter's Fury dropped. Don't think that was necessarily needed, but still better be safe than sorry. Round goes over to the Scarlet Tempest, and we brought up 7-1. That is a pretty big deficit to be staring down.
Yeah, I was hoping I was wrong, but with all that util and all that ults, it was hard to see St. John think about losing that one. And kudos to them. They're just playing strong. They just been outgunning USF here. And if you're USF right now, your main trouble right now, and to start thinking, is that you need to win your battles. You need to win your duels. That's the only way you're going to be able to come back and at least take some rounds off of them. Try to make this a 7-5. Right now, if you're also USF, you also need to be thinking about what is it that your util usage isn't doing for your team. Is the util usage being used correctly? Is it helping us, you know, get us onto site? Is what I would be thinking.
Yeah, and that's where, you know, that choice to go with the Sage over the Sova really does seem to be impactful, as sometimes you don't have that same amount of information as you're pushing in. Viper's Pit once again committed towards that A site. Kilroy with a nice opening onto Kenny, so that could give them a little bit more space to work with towards A. Is oh man, around the back, S-Flow finds one, finds two. Seiko, though, shuts him down, but those 2 kills were clutch at keeping St. John's in this round.
Yeah, and right now they're playing what they St. John's is doing what they have to do. And what they're doing is what they're doing best. It's like you say all the time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But it's looking like we're finding the cracks in St. John.
Possible.
Or at least we were hoping.
It's all up to Seiko here. Is into 2 after popping the Viper's Pit, so does have quite a bit to work with, but might just use this as a decoy. Stepped fully away. Doesn't look like he's planning to run back into it.
30
so
seconds
maybe
left.
this is intention to sort of be a fake that rotated around. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the thought process. Is again, it could just work so well. Oh no, and here's the
And
wall.
I really like this play. Unfortunately, Reina is not biting the bullet here. She's just gonna hold it on to sight here and being like, I know this guy's still here.
Oh,
But Seiko said, all right, it doesn't matter if you know I'm here or not.
yeah, exactly. Does not matter one bit. And the thing is, Trident is oh so low. Seiko just has to hold the setup, keep things together, find one shot, and when you run out with a bow in your hand, a gun's going to be a bit better. Seiko finds USF's second round, and maybe we can try and start stringing them together.
Now, this is what you want as USF. You finally got a round in. Their economy is still strong, so you're still going to have to expect that they have guns all the way. But the fact that you were able to take off a round means that momentum is shut. And now, how can you, as USF, really be able to take this away from them and being able to at least put 4 on the board? Right now, there's no chance, obviously, for them to tie it up before the half, obviously. But can you get enough rounds to where if you win the gun round in the next half, will this all be worth it?
Yeah, it's very true. You know, getting yourself to 4 rounds, it means you can equalize by the gun, just about equalize by the gun round. If you get yourself to 7-5, it's an effectively, you know, tied half, where if you win 1 pistol, you're effectively back into it, tied right back up. So really is going to come down to what these next 3 rounds hold, as Kilroy holding up towards Hall, and you know, this setup from Scarlet Tempest, it's worked out quite a bit when USF goes B, but now without Kenny up on that high ground here, this is going to be a lot tougher. Shots come in, get rung around, although all of the Viper utils getting dropped and Kenny's found without a place to go. Now the Seekers popped from Yurted Kirk, and that's again going to buy time for USF. Going to take down Smalls, Trident as well next to Fall. Jump Killer going crazy, actually. Got a 4K looking for the ace onto Void. I didn't even realize with how clean they were playing. But Kirk, once again, just like earlier this game, going to find that 5th kill and steal it away from Jump Killer.
And definitely that's what you want as USF. Being able to take another round, now we're going to see a difference in gunplay. Now you really got to say to yourself, okay, now we're taking rounds away from them. We need to continue this if we still want a shot at being able to take back what we need, which is the rounds. Right now, they also need to be making sure that they continue winning these battles, because that's what's winning and getting them onto site. Again, Breeze is a very aim-oriented map, and they need to be doing that if they want to continue to be winning.
Yeah, and I mean, it feels and sounds really straightforward, you know, just like win your duels. But when you're up against these kind of players, it means that you have to be structuring your peaks perfectly. Ooh, Kenny nearly caught. Honestly, Bacon nearly caught with his knives out, but does work out for both parties involved. No one going down quite yet, and actually with the Viper commit by Scarlet Tempest on the A site, USF taking this as a signal, strike out on the B. Trident, only one on site, really. Kenny's around, but the Blade Storm goes completely wide, and now Jump Killer going to commit one of his own. Trident did find a kill off of Bacon's wall. Now, Kenny behind that backside wall, waiting for the team to show up. As it's just going to take a quick peek, and Jump Killer can't find the shot. Void throwing some smoke forward. And this is tight as Flow from the back finds Seiko. Kilroy again responds. This is so tight. Jump Killer just waiting for Void. Void with the judge. Gonna take you down. Swaps to the Vandal. It's all gonna come down to Kilroy, but Smalls too strong. And looking to set this up to 8-4, but who knows, could get that 9-3 curse if Scarlet Tempest wins the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, and unfortunate for USF, being able to get that pick and still being able to plan was not enough for them to win that round. Honestly, that was just tough on USF. St. John's was just ready to be able to win that duel back and win the site back. So you got to be wondering, what is it that's going on that they are constantly still having issues trying to take back these sites and win them off. And St. John's just looking like the stronger team right now. You gotta wonder what's going to be next. Are they going to still be able to do this even on defensive round?
You want to
yeah,
play?
We're gonna have to see
play.
what they can do, if they'll be just as dominant. You know, when they swap sides. Kilroy finding that first kill on S-Flow. That's a nice start. As now looking for more potentially. One more shot, and this is super worth. As
Out of range.
now he's just going to drop the teleporters. Finds a decent spot to set up shop. Now finds Void, and that's a big one. Looking for Smalls, can't find it. And Kenny coming around back. That is going to do a lot of damage to USF, but 2 members still standing. Bacon going to find the plant, but Yurted Kirk pinned up
Spike
back.
planted.
And now this is a 2v2. How does Scarlet Tempest approach her? How does USF try to hold on? And it seems like with shots like that, maybe that's all you need.
You will not kill my ally.
Yeah, and that's definitely, those are the picks that you definitely need. Taking out your best players, or taking out their best, your respective best players.
Switching sides.
That's what you want. That's what you want. You want to be left with the players that are struggling. And not to say St. John's is struggling by any means, but when there's an obvious difference to say who's your duelist, who's your best aim worthy teammate versus someone who's just a better, smaller player, right? I mean, that's why we have these teams set up. There's just some who have better aim and some who have bigger brains, right? And unfortunately for this map, you kind of need a mix of both, because if not, you might not just survive. But for USF right now, 8-4, it's still winnable, still very winnable. That's something we cannot, shoot down for USF. This is still a winnable match here, and all they need to do is now with their defensive-sided agents, see if they can use their util to the most potential and get these rounds back.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. It's all going to come down to can they get some momentum running with this pistol round. And Seiko going down immediately is not how you want to start. And Smalls shutting down Kirk as well. Really showing the speed, showing the strength of this St. John's squad. Now 3 members all looped up in hallway. Let's see if they can do anything. As Kilroy with that buff, that sort of super sheriff, trying to figure it out. And ooh, Smalls with just this tricky positioning finds 4. Kilroy prevents the ace, actually finds Kenny as well, would need an ace of his own to bring this round back, but it does feel like it's just going to come down to a couple shots from S-Flow, and there was the Viper lineup on top of that. So good shutdown from Scarlet Tempest, and USF struggling to find a way back in, and now on the back foot, probably going to concede double digits.
Yeah, really valiant effort from Kilroy there, trying to get as many kills as he can and even trying to go for the bomb defuse there, but unfortunately Scarlet is just not letting that happen. And this is what I was worried about. Now that they won the gun round, it's the second half, it's 9-4. USF has a long way to go before they can start thinking about getting this back.
Yeah, they have to wait until at least next round. Even then, they still have to win the bonus, and Smalls once again being that just super confident player, buying the Vandal on round 2. And they want to shut this out as quickly and cleanly as possible. They're certainly looking like it, as it does feel like a new St. John's team sort of erupted after that tactical timeout on Icebox, and it has been all uphill for them since. And Kilroy trying to find some kills, and not able to find much. Gets a shot on the Kenny, but doesn't find the kill. So a couple guns taken down, but honestly not too shabby from the Scarlet Tempest. Now USF, guns in hand, this is the time to strike back.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of like you were saying earlier about my my initial comment. You know, it's easier said than done, right? In a map that's so aim-based, it's really easier said than done to be able to just say, okay, yeah, I'm going to out-duel them. Yeah, I'm going to out-aim them. But Scarlet is saying, well, you better do it now because now we're about to take this game.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of just providing the setup for you to find those favorable duels. That's really what so much of Valorant comes down to, is finding the right setup, finding the right opportunities. And Kirk right there finding a nice opportunity onto Kenny off of that wall placed down by Seiko. So now Kilroy holding Hall, not going to find anyone, as all of Scarlet Tempest is mid moving towards B.
And you really got to appreciate what Scarlet is doing here. I mean, Smalls, we saw for the first 2 games, really strong with his aim. There was nothing wrong or bad we could say about Smalls and what he was doing. And now being put onto Breeze, where it's majority all about having that great aim, Smalls is just taking Scarlet to a whole new level of, yeah, we're bouncing back.
Yeah, most certainly. As I'm gonna say, I like some of this play. Seiko has been playing very, very well off of whatever bits of information they get. Oh, Jump Killer not able to punish S-Flow, and now buying some time against Smalls. Does get mollied out, forced to dash away.
30 seconds left.
Now 30 seconds left. Gonna have to commit to a site soon. Looks like it's going to be B. Flash is thrown down to stall as the rotates are going to get called through. Trident finding a headshot with the Marshall on Seiko. Kirk taking down S-Flow. Nice quick trades, and Kirk finds another Void, though, onto Bacon, making life that much tougher. As Trident finding a kill with the classic, but Kilroy denying another ace, sort of. It's like, Kirk, you stole mine. I'm going to steal yours.
Gun here.
And Kilroy has really, really been trying, still being one of the last few guys to be alive every time, you know, USF is just down to a player. You really got to give respect where respect is due. Kilroy is doing everything he can to keep his team alive. And fortunately for USF, they're only down by 5, and I know 5 is still better. I mean, less than 10, but it's still a lot better than 10 and 3, right? And, you know, you got to keep with the positivity where the positive is, right? You know, just making sure that, you know, you understand how deep you are, but how much you're getting yourself out of it is the better picture to look at.
Yeah, just taking it one step at a time. Exactly. Now Jump Killer is holding on mid. That Aldron's not going to spot anything out, but Small's waiting for it. Ooh, and Jump Killer just missing the timing, forced to drop the smoke and using that flash maybe as an escape route. And ooh, indeed does with that Guardian. Finds a kill, and it's a big start, shutting down again, you know, that star player. We keep saying their name. We keep highlighting them. Smalls, it's been so crucial to how this St. John's team likes to play. And oh, it was so close with Kilroy nearly being able to find the chamber counterpart. Not quite working out. Oh, Jump Killer peeking down and just barely staying alive with that Cloudburst timer. Now, S-Flow stepping forward. Kirk goes down to Void. So Seiko responds onto S-Flow, so man advantage for USF, but still, oh, a little scrappy, but that's one hell of a shot from Seiko. And what a start to step back onto site. Now it's just Void, and if that was another just pure one tap, I would have lost my mind. But here comes the lineups. Seiko did get it to half, and that's what matters most. Now you can sort of rotate between, as not able to get the body block, but might be able to still just find enough time. They've got the wall to deny the shots, but that break could be big. Seiko, though, finds the kill, and that will be the clutch up with just 4 health remaining, as USF starting to streak these rounds together, starting to break down that deficit.
Yeah, Seiko wasn't going to go down without getting that last kill. He got greedy. I saw him. He really wanted that kill. He said, look, I'm going to defuse and get that kill. Don't you worry, boys. I got this. But another nice display of USF trying to keep themselves alive here. Now we went from saying, you know, they're only down by, 5 to now down by only by 4. Little by little, USF needs these little momentums to keep themselves going. And it's looking really good for them. They just need to continue this momentum of just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's sort of stacked towards B, and this is just a full A stack for Scarlet Tempest. It's a scrappy buy, Sheriffs and Spectres, but immediately they jump through, and now Bacon's going to try and stay alive, but oh my, so many resources getting used. That's Hunter's Fury. That's quite a bit more, as also we do notice that it is the Viper's Pit getting dropped by Void, so another pretty big cooldown used, though it's working out. Kirk, though, with the Seeker is going to just sort of feels like ulti after ulti. Flash finds one. That'll be enough to start things off. Trying to step up on the flank. Does see Kirk, but doesn't really matter. And inside the pit, it is an absolute bloodbath. Seiko and Void going back and forth with who's killing who. Now,
last player standing.
Kilroy going down with that off in the smoke. Not going to be able to find much more. Those ultis prove too strong for USF to deal with. Scarlet Tempest, they find themselves 1 round closer to closing this map out.
Yeah, and the Scarlet they said, well, look, you know, we got a mediocre buy here, but we're not going to let that stop us from getting the last few rounds that we need. And it definitely worked out for them. USF, unfortunately, fumbled the bag there. So they got to make sure they win this next one. Even though their buy is looking pretty terrible, but anything to stop them from winning this game, they have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is sort of the spot where you have to play for overtime. It's really, really brutal when your back's up against the wall. There's 11 rounds for the opponent. You're forced to play Sheriffs, and you know that every single round after this one, you are fighting to stay alive, especially with this being the end of the series. Bacon starting things off, gets 2. That's a nice start, but Trident immediately trading them back, make it 3 as the pendulum swings back towards St. John's. And what looked like such a good start from Bacon quickly fell apart.
Yeah, and unfortunately here, it's man advantage. They're holding site pretty well. Oh, but Psycho getting that nice pick, now making it a 2v2. Can they win this?
Last player standing.
Not quite, didn't slow down. Trying to find the ace. Jump Killer looking to deny. And Small's going to find the kill. We've had so many 4Ks this series, but no aces.
Nobody wants to give each other an ace. It's so rude. These guys are so rude. Let me tell you. If I was in this game, I'd be really upset. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, though, but like it's just they're so impressive right now. Both teams have such amazing players that it's been really fun to watch all these headshots, these little clutch moments. But for Scarlet, it looks like they're gonna be the ones to prevail here. Still very winnable to make it to the OT, but USF now has to use this buy round and every other round from there to make it to 12-12.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is it's a matter of you lose one round and that is it. So USF cannot give up 6 rounds in a row, and that's just to get overtime. I mean, you got to think if they get that far, then maybe the momentum will be in their favor, but it's still such a tall order. They've pulled out really everything they've got, and Bacon already going down. There's the one other ultimate they had available already gone as Kilroy, though, finds S-Flow, so it's a 4v4. Might be able to find Void on a certain angle, but Small's going to throw out that Leer and confirm the plant. Kenny finds Kirk up in mid, and that's big. Void gets tagged down, though. Legged by... Ooh, that shot was a little too close for comfort. Void somehow still finds Seiko and Smalls with the Empress. Now this is going to be scary. One enemy left. Kilroy just going to have to try and survive. The last surviving member for USF. Not going to be enough as Void cleans it up. And Scarlet Tempest bring this one back. They were able to force overtime in Game 2. They were able to put together a very solid victory in Game 3 and win the series. You know, USF put up one really, really great series, but it seems like at the end, once the momentum came for St. John's, they just kept going.
Yeah, unfortunately for USF, they started off so strong, but then Scarlet was able to come back, and kudos to them. They did very, very well from what we thought was gonna be an even to less than looking like USF's game to being Scarlet's game.
Yeah,
they played very well, and from the stats we look at here, the whole team just was doing well. They played off of each other. They were doing everything they needed to do to win. And unfortunately for USF, that's not the same case here. Our star player here at this time was Kilroy for Breeze. And, you know, you saw that there was a lot of times that he played by himself, that he was the last man standing. And those are the crucial moments that you really realize that Scarlet knew how to contain USF on this map. And unfortunately, I was right. I mean, that Sage pick probably wasn't the best option to do. When you have that info game here on this map, you really do have the advantage. And unfortunately for USF, it's what costed them the game.
Yeah.
But, you know, shout out to Scarlet. They played very well from the first map on Ascent to now. Really strong.
Yeah, they've played incredibly well. Certainly a top team to look at in ECAC as we continue. USF taking their first loss of the season, but that doesn't mean the season is over. There's still a lot of Valorant to be played, but that is going to be it for our broadcast today. So I want to say it was an absolute pleasure casting alongside you, Kevin. I mean, I've missed it. It's been a lot of fun. And of course, thank you to our production team. We had Garrett and Caleb behind the computer today. So huge shout out to both of them for making everything run so smoothly. And of course, thank you to all the viewers at home for letting us do what we love and for supporting our teams and our players. But that is going to be it from us here at USF Esports. So everyone, thank you for watching and have a wonderful night.
I want you to never